So good morning. It's an honor to welcome this significant audience who have gathered here today. I'm Devanshi Kanegoda, and today the Colombo SIGCHI Research Showcase event. SIGCHI, or the Special Interest Group on Computer-Human Interaction, is a part of ACM, or the Association for Computer Machinery, consisting of researchers and educators in human-computer interaction. So SIGCHI is the world's largest collaboration of academics and professionals interested in this area, which you will know, of course, and you will get to know more about the Colombo SIGCHI chapter from the chair of Colombo SIGCHI chapter, that is Ms. Dr. Dilruga, committee member IEEE Region 10 membership, and she's also the session chair of the Computer Human Interaction track and at the GHC 2020. She's also a student activist chair at IEEE Women Engineering and also researcher at Stanford Crowdsourced Research Collective. She also recently submitted her PhD thesis at the University of Murata and awaiting her defense. Her research interests are HCI, e-learning, massive open online courses. So without ado, let me invite Dilrukshi Gamage to welcome the gathering.
Hi, y'all. Yeah, glad to be here. Just a correction, I just defended and submitted my thesis as well, final. Anyway, so for this session today, it's been an honor that, let me share my screen first. And then, as you all know, we'll start with the slides. Right, okay. So I'm pretty much excited and really glad that we have a massive participants today representing covering entire country and also international. This is fantastic. SIGCHI Colombo chapter, we started in like 1.5 years ago, and we are growing each and, growing by day. So we need the support from the local community plus international community. We will have, we will kind of enlighten you how do we want your support in the end of these sessions. Please, please be ready to, do your volunteering to the research community in the name of HCI, Human Computer Interaction. So for the today's session, I'll kind of walk you through what we are trying to do. We have, because we think that Zoom chat will be difficult to handle Q&A. So we have a Slido app. So the code, if you go to the app.slido, when you enter the code 677677, you can get into the room where you can add questions. And since we have many students plus guests, and it will be easy for us to handle the questions in the room. Plus, if you have questions, this is not a conference, and also this is, since we have 100 odd participants, perhaps we might have to adhere to, you must have adhere to the SIGCHI's code of conduct. It's important that we don't criticize and have, all in this space, and at all time, please be kind enough to mute yourself unless you are free to ask questions when there is Q&A sessions. And just to provide an overview of the today's session, we will start we are glad that we have invited the SIGCHI global representative, Eunice. She will take the next, and then we will have an interesting keynote speaker, our prominent professor from our local institute, and also to give you a background about what we have done so far. We had a call for, the committee from the SIGCHI chapter thought like we have to do something for the research, and suddenly we articulated a call for submission, and we are so thrilled that we got, somewhere around 32 submissions. We initially never expected this much, but we are so glad that, the momentum for HCI is growing, and that made us to, scale up this level. So we gave them the opportunity to publish in the ICTER conference, which is one of the oldest and the prominent conference in Sri Lanka. And then so we HCI part is mostly affiliated by the chapter. And out of the 32 submissions, we had to have a criteria to select, and the committee rigorously went through and scored them from 1 to 20, and we got selected 23 submissions. All of them will be getting the visibility from Colombo SIGCHI Medium Post, and also there will be a certificate award to them. And also they are being given option to submit their extended abstract as a poster to the ICTER conference, which may be in ACM SIGCHI or IEEE, Tirana will handle. And for today's matter, we have to save time. We have a very narrow bandwidth of time, 9 to 12. So we needed to select the best out of the best. This selection is top 12 presentations, but not based on the score, but based on the presentation quality and the time durations and other factors that we have looked at. But only difference is that they are being showcased today, but other presentations also will be mentioned in the end as honorable mentions as well. All 23 will be anyway given the visibility from SIGCHI chapter, and those who are in the audience who would ever think that they can contribute or collaborate, please feel free to reach out us or reach out the students who are presenting, because I know there's more conceptual level students as well. Like, there are researches in the idea generations or ideation phase, which there's many room to improvement. So we are really glad that if we can establish some collaborations through this program. Yeah, so without ado, thank you very much for the, Eunice and Professor Hewagamage, welcome. Thank you very much for accepting our invitations. And yeah, we look forward to have you throughout the session. Yeah, Devanshi, over to you.
Thank you, Ms. Dilrukshi. So as Ms. Dilrukshi already introduced, I would like to invite Dr. Yuri Sari, who plays a key role in ACM as ACM SIGCHI Vice President for Global Chapters. And she's also an ACM Distinguished Speaker, and also Southeast Asia Liaison for ACM SIGCHI at the Asia Development Committee. Apart from prominent roles in ACM, Dr. Yuris is also an honorary University Research Fellow at the Charles Darwin University. And as a professional UX trainer, Dr. Yuris is the CEO, the co-founder of UX Indonesia, and the co-founder of Customer Experience Insight Private Limited, Australia. So it is our honor to have her at today's Colombo SIGCHI Research Showcase event, and the stage is yours, Dr. Yuris.
Thank you, Devanshi, and thank you, Dilrukshi, and the rest of the committee member for the Colombo SIGCHI chapter. It is an honor for me to be here and to share what I have in my heart about the chapters, and especially I just want to congratulate Colombo SIGCHI chapters who has done such a great job for the last 1.5 years, and so much thing that you have done. And it is good to be here and finally see a lot of new people coming and share the research. So I'm going to share a couple of things. It won't be long, but basically what I'm going to share today is about going back to the goals that we have as a chapter. But before I continue, I just want to start that I started to be part of the ACM SIGCHI since 2015 as the Asian Development Committee, and then in 2018 as the SIGCHI VP for chapters. So my job is always dealing with chapters around the world. And as you know, in SIGCHI, we are working with, right now we got about 19 people that our term will be ending soon. And then, but the chapter is still there and continue growing. So what does the chapter do actually? The local chapter is helping SCM SIGCHI community to promote and advance human-computer interaction locally. So in Colombo, for example, and as well around the globe. For developing parts of the world, local chapters often serve as the first front to promote research and education, research and practice in the region. SIGCHI local chapters are unique in building bridges between academics, practitioners, students, and in HCI. So this is what happened right now. We got about 68 chapters, 31 of them from Global South, including your chapters and chapters in Indonesia as well as part of Asia and Middle East. So this is what we are doing in the chapter. When we had before COVID, we always meet at the CHI conference once a year, trying to get to know each other and get updates. But well, COVID has not always been bad. We actually meet each other every month, and that's through the SIGCHI monthly office hours that we have. And we have actually Diruksi always come every meeting, and I really hope that when we have more office hours, you can also come and then join the meeting. So what I'm going to share today are 3 goals for SIGCHI chapters, in my opinion, organizing these chapters around the world. There has been a significant growth in the number of chapters. And we face challenges that we never experienced before, but at the same time, we see potential that we never see back then. So the first one is build a bridge, and second one, connect, and the third one, grow. So the first one, a chapter is called to build a bridge. So when we talk of bridge is a structure built to span a physical obstacle such as a body of water, valley, road without blocking the way underneath. It is constructed to provide passage over the obstacle, and which is usually otherwise difficult or impossible to cross. So when I talk about SCM SIGCHI chapters, I always remember the metaphor of a bridge. We, as a human being, we tend to stay in our comfort zone because we often consider that the other party speak different languages. However, academic, I have the, just hold a second.
Eunice, you're muted.
However, as academics, I have many opportunities to bridge between these 2 words. Academics are brilliant people who have many resources and opportunities to look at things in great detail. Therefore, they publish their works for the sake of knowledge advancement. On the other hand, the practitioners are intelligent people who continuously look for solutions for problems and make things work. They work smartly to achieve the best results and the most effective resources. Unfortunately, most of the time, they do not have the privilege of time and resources to conduct extensive research to solve their problems. A chapter, like SIGCHI chapter, like your chapter, is a perfect neutral and safe playground for academia and practitioners to start conversing and working together. The result of collaboration can benefit both parties. Some of the benefits I have seen from the testimonies of the chapter members include the following. So academics have a better understanding about the industry expectation, so they can prepare their students better. The academics have the opportunity to mimic the actual situation in the industry with various constraints, and then the industry at the same time can experience the depth and wealth of knowledge in HCI and UX from the research conducted by the academic in a very short time through the interaction in the chapter activities. And then the industry can engage the academic and researchers our students as part of their project. And this is not really something that I make it up, because there are a lot of things that have happened, like, for example, through the Indonesia SCM SIGCHI chapter, through there are a lot of, for example, the students' research competition, a lot of academic and industry got together, mentor the students, and some of the students, they are actually got really successful to go to CHI conference, got award, but also like they also like got the opportunity to learn from the industry. So they're also in Thailand, for example, they learn to develop some brands, the young people, the students with the industry through the workshop that they have. And then also in Cairo, the people from the industry, they're really active, and they got connected with the SCM SIGCHI chapter in Cairo. And every year they have a conference, and they had a lot of exchange of knowledge continuously. So this is a really great. The second call is to connect. So when we talk about connect, we talk about to place and establish a relationship which requires a deep understanding of a similar vision. So when I talk about the connect in the SCM SIGCHI chapter, it's not about just organizing events after events, but it is about making a real connection to the local people who have similar interests and goals in the field of HEI and UX, regardless their backgrounds. These things needs to be done intentionally, because it will definitely give a positive result in the growth of your chapters. So this is an example of how the people they connect from Southeast Asia, they get together, they collaborate through the summer school, and I think you have done well as well. And then in Bombay in India, they organize something like this very often. The chapter meetups, they do it. And also recently in Sydney, for example, they do hybrid activities. And I know that this might not be possible in some places, but the hybrid activities actually really make people connected locally as well as internationally as well. And not just the people connected, people who have similar interests in HEI and UX that got connected, but also we are talking about the community who never been in contact with HEI or UX. But what we know is like with the COVID thing, especially, every technology has been part of the humankind, and it was very significant part. And how we do it, like through the chapter, we go to the community, we connected with them, we help them to grow. They grow and we grow as well. A lot of these initiatives conducted between the students and the academics, practitioners, to get together, and not just involving people from one chapters, but chapters around the world as well. And the third one, the last one, is a chapter is called To Grow. So I just want to tell a bit of my personal story. When I started my engagement in the SCM as a student volunteer in 2004 at CHI, I never knew that one day I would be actively involved in this organization like today. What makes me grow, actually, like I have the opportunity, a lot of access to humble members of communities and the world caliber experts in HEI and UX. And as you know, like I always like why I tie my experience with Indonesia SCM SIGCHI, because I started these chapters like in 2015. We try something that we never tried before. For example, I talked with Tilina and Diruksi like yesterday about why don't you make your event international? Because SCM had the opportunity, give you the opportunity to make your symposium and everything the part of the in-cooperation event, which can be really big. And then the work that you are doing can go to SCM Digital Library. As a chapter, you can invite anyone from around the world, like Mark Billinghurst, Elizabeth Churchill, Geraldine Fitzpatrick, Aaron Quigley, and many more that have come to our events. And that's something that you can do as well. You can work together with other chapters, collaborate. Diruksi and I have been working together. At least 11 chapters have been part of this Asian Kyle Symposium. And I think we can continually grow like this. And because there are a lot of opportunity for you as a chapters, chapter member, chapter committee to be part of this global activity. So to remind again, we have 3 goals: build a bridge, connect, and grow. If you want to know more, I'm not going to talk about it today, but go to SIGCHI.org chapters to know more about our activities and learn more from the chapter inbox. You can download it from there. And finally, again, congratulations for you to organize such an amazing event today. And yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Yunus, and your presence is highly appreciated. And now we have come to the moment that we have been awaiting. So as Ms. Dilruksha already mentioned, there have been a lot of...
Hello, Devanshi. Maybe the audience have some questions to Eunice. We could spare 1-2 minutes.
All right. Yes, that would be better. So if the audience have any questions to ask about the SIGCHI chapter, we can spare some few minutes for that.
Definitely, you can ask, unmute yourself and ask, or there's a slider, or just chat here, whatever makes you comfortable, you're welcome. So
if there's no questions, I'll ask one, because the same question I asked yesterday at our discussion, because Professor Hewagamage is here as well. He's the director of the University of Colombo School of Computing, who will be doing a keynote today. He has been helping us. He has been organizing this ICT ICTER conference for the past 21 years. This is the 21st year. So we are having plans of moving IEEE to ACM, hopefully. Would that be possible? First question. If so, how can we proceed with it?
Okay, thank you for your question, Selina. I know that I have not answered you properly yesterday. Yes, I am not the one who make the decision about this. So what happened with the link that I give to you, you need to fill out that links, and this program would be part of the ICPS International Conference Series program. So basically, if you organize something like that, your event will be like a ACM in cooperation conference. So this is not a ACM sponsored, but ACM in cooperation, which means that you are responsible for the event. And if you can get money from ACM SIGCHI through development funding, that would be great as well as the in cooperation event. And when you fill out this in cooperation event, the people in ACM will approve that, and it is beyond us, beyond SIGCHI to make a decision. What they will look at is your program, your planning, and then who will be responsible for this. And I guess this would be your organization, your school, and please add the ACM SIGCHI chapter, the Colombo SIGCHI chapters, because that it will add more credibility for the program that you have. And so you will choose how many percent SIGCHI chapters, how many percent is your organization. But that's very detailed. And then after that, after you get approved, then you will apply for the ACM digital library. and it will be like some payment needs to be done. If it is like I think it's 30 papers, about $1,000. I don't know like the scheme at the moment, but it is through ASEAN Digital Library. And with that, your conference have the incorporation status, and then your paper can go to ASEAN Digital Library. But if you do not have the incorporation status, you won't be able to go to ASEAN Digital Library. So that's like a quite linear process. But we can talk about it, like set up. If you want to know more, we can go through on this one. I sent, I think the Ruxi before, like we have sometimes for the like a consultation for different kind of things. Yeah, just book time on that one.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll consider that.
Yes, and we do plan to have a first Colombo CHI conference hopefully next year, and your support for that would be highly appreciated.
Yeah, it is. Just remember, like the time it will take 4 to 6 weeks for approval. So please start from now if you know the dates, and then after that you need to ask for approval again for the ASEAN Digital Library, maybe another 4 weeks. So allow yourself for like 8 to 10 weeks to organize this.
Right. Thank you.
Right. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Can
Are
I
there
also
any
ask a question?
questions that?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes. Yes, please go ahead, sir.
Yeah. I also have one question based on what Telina mentioned. In addition to the conference during the last 15 years, we were managing an internet journal called the ICT for Emerging Regions. It was started with several international organizations, including initially funded by the SIDA from Sweden. The main reason is to promote the emerging applications in the developing countries. And the last few years, what we have seen because of this predatory journal issue, what you can see in the academia, where the people start publishing bogus thing, as well as bogus publishers are becoming more and more popular. So we wanted to manage this one to protect authors as well as the academic integrity of the research and development work. If there is any possibility such a journal to cooperate with an ASEAN Digital Library, because the main objective is to we can also get people involved from your side to improve the process, and at the same time the vast audience who could access then those journals will be another thing, because without the funding we can manage the things, but we would like to expand it for the international cooperation if there is a possibility.
Yes, that's a bit tricky.
Yeah.
I don't have the answer for that one because it's a SEM journal. They have, as if you know about CHI conference, they right now like an open opportunity for people to submit the journal. But they is very selective for the journal itself, and like every year they receive like 5,000 papers. So that's a lot. And now we even ask, like we are from the Asian CHI Symposium. We want to get into the process as well. We have been in the field for 5 years, and it's been really difficult. But yeah, we are actually I'm actually being invited to do this journal like for Springer or Frontier and things like that. So maybe we can collaborate in that way, but it's probably a different journal.
Yes, of course. That's why I think we will discuss it further, how to initiate it. Such a collaboration.
Sorry, I don't have the answer for this one.
That's okay. No problem.
Yeah.
Thank you, Professor. We can have one more question. If not, we can go ahead with the showcase for today. All right, then let's continue. So for today's showcase, we have only selected 12 top videos to be showcased. Not that the others are not good, but of course everything was best, and that's why you have been selected, and you will also be getting your participation certificate today. But we have only limited time, and therefore we have selected 12 research videos to showcase today, out of which we will be showing 6 now. And at the end of each of these videos, Dr. Tilina Hallalua and Dr. Kalpani Manutunda will be directing questions that will be received to the Slido, which Ms. Dilrukshi already put up a chat message, a link on the chat. You can direct any of the questions that you have for the presenter through that. And then those questions will be asked by Dr. Tilina Hallalua and Dr. Kalpani from the presenter. And when the video is showcasing, we would like to invite the presenter to switch on your video. So then we can directly go for question and answers after the presentation. Okay then. So we can start the showcase now.
Give me a second until I get this set up.
Sure, no problem. So the link again for the Slido slides are put up on the messages. If we have any question for the presenter, you can direct any question to that. Yes, okay. So then our first presentation for today is modeling the optimum braking distance scenarios in Sri Lankan road and weather conditions by Imtiaz.
Hi, my name is Imtiaz, and my research is modeling the optimal braking distance scenarios in Sri Lankan road and weather conditions. So the motivation for the research is about 7 to 8 people die each day due to the car accidents, and resulting in approximately 3,000 deaths per year in Sri Lanka, according to the police statistics. So this is the motivation for the research. And when it comes to recent scenarios, there are multiple accidents on Southern Expressway. This is a very recent news. Back in 14th of April 2021, there were 8 vehicles involved for the collision. Thankfully, there's only 1 person got injured, but this is a very recent scenario. And this is another one. This is a very recent scenario, 21st of June 2021, but this is from USA. And 18 vehicles involved for the crash, and 10 people died, and including 9 kids. And researchers, the reporter says that this is due to the bad weather conditions and bad rain weather conditions. The vehicle, when it comes to vehicle accidents, there are we can categorize in the main 3 reasons. First one is the human conditions such as uncontrollability and speed, impromptu stops, incompetent driving, overthinking, fatigue and rashness. And when it comes to the road and weather conditions, the road geometry, road surface conditions, weather, animals and physical impediment can consider, and vehicle conditions, and there are vehicle conditions as well, which we are not going to consider in this research. And many vehicle accidents happen either when drivers brake too early or brake too late. So that's because of the thinking distance of the driver. And when it comes to the thinking distance and the braking distance, it involves 2 factors: thinking distance of the driver and the physical braking distance. In thinking distance of the driver, the fatigue, distraction, visual impairment, and driver under the influence can be considered. And when it comes to physical distance, the vehicle weight, the road surface conditions, weight of the vehicle, and traveling speeds we can consider. And there are researchers done to find the optimal braking distance, and there's a research by Kodani et al. And they are using the frictional coefficient value between the road and the vehicle in different weather conditions, and for selected vehicle types such as bus, truck, and car. And what they're doing is they are, by using physical formulas, they are deriving the optimal braking distance in different weather conditions and with different road conditions. But it is and also they should consider the visual impact of the driver as well in rain conditions, because the thinking distance depends on when the driver sees objects in the road. So these results, they are not actually considering that visual impact of the driver in rainy conditions and weather conditions. And there's another research done by Sabri and et al. And so what they're doing is they are using frictional coefficient values between road and vehicle in different speeds. So different coefficient values for different speeds, and from another formula, they are deriving the optimal braking distance. So given that, so it is very important to consider the visual impact of the driver, and also should consider the driver parameters as well, such as age of the driver, the fatigue, driver distance, and other parameters of the driver. So when it comes to the research question, the main question is how to model the optimal braking distance of a driver considering weather and road conditions in Sri Lanka. And also it has some sub-questions as well. What are the weather and road conditions that affect the braking distance of Sri Lankan drivers? And other one is how to simulate the identified weather and road conditions in a simulated environment. And next one is what would be the right machine learning technique to create the optimal braking distance model. And other one is how to identify optimal braking parameters for different weather and road conditions. So main objective of the research is to create a machine learning model to predict the optimal braking distance of a driver in different weather and road surface conditions. And there are a couple of objectives like simulate braking distance scenarios in a virtual environment with driver agents, and simulating identified weather and road conditions in a simulated environment, and also creating a model to predict the optimal braking distance. So the research approach will be a constructive approach. So we will first collect data from by creating simulated environment. So we will ask drivers to drive in that simulated environment and in different weather conditions, and we will collect data of the weather conditions and also the driver parameters. Then we will analyze the data, and we will use the right machine learning technique to predict the optimal braking distance of a driver in a given weather and road condition. Then we will evaluate the model in different weather and different weather conditions for a particular driver. So yeah, that's it. Thank you.
So now question and answer session for Imtiaz is open.
I assume Iltizam is here. Iltizam, can you please turn on your video?
Yes.
Hello guys, it's Ravi here. Can I ask a question? Or
yes, please, Ravi, ask. Go ahead.
Yeah. So while going through this, I was wondering that there might be certain cultural differences in driving, say for example, in Sri Lanka and in Australia. So the drivers might be subjected to these cultural things when driving as well. So this is just a suggestion, not a question really. So it might be a good idea to talk with a few drivers and see and try to find what are the sort of real world conditions when driving, because I feel like you may not be able to find this when you are doing a simulation. So just a suggestion from me.
All right. Yeah. Thank you.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I am Laknath. So I have a question that so I think he's trying to calculate or model the optimum braking distance. So when come to the modern automobiles, I think so there are a lot of technologies available. That means we have ABS, those kind of things. So are you going to take that into account also? Because when we take a automobile, so with the age there are different technologies they are using now. So are you taking that also into account when you making the or you are when calculating the braking distance from your model? Thank you.
You mean like the ABS?
Yeah, ABS. So there are different. I think so. There are different braking systems also available. Different technologies. I think with the system you are using now, there. So you can search those things. So with the system, so they will get a very safe. What you call, so you can stop at a very safer level. So that depends on the braking system of your vehicle as well. So I think you are also searching about other parameters. So when building a model, I think you should consider about the brake systems in your vehicle as well. So it will be a good input for you, I think.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much for the input. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, with the time, we'll move on to the next one as we are already behind the schedule.
So next we have BAM, Bring Across My Music, an intelligent music playlist generated based on narrated human feelings by Intangible Tilakaratne.
Hello everyone, I am Tusitanjana Tilakaratna and I am an MPhil student at SLIIT. My research topic is BAM, Bring Across My Music, an intelligent music playlist generator based on narrated human feelings. My supervisor is Dr. Shyam Rial. He is a senior lecturer of Faculty of Computing at SLIIT. My co-supervisors are also from the same faculty, Dr. Nuwan Kodagoda and Dr. Darshana Kasturiratne. BAM is the given name for our ultimate application, which is similar to the current music streaming applications like YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, Deezer, and etc. And there's a difference. Now the current systems suggest music based on the past choices, or they analyze user's profile and it will suggest music based on the playlist of similar users. They will categorize music based on the genre, tone, language, and also lyrics. So if the user wants to play music, they have to either go with the categories or they have to play it from the suggestions. Now in BAM, it suggests music based on the human narration, the emotional context of the human narrations. It basically listens to the user. Now, if I focus on the research, this is my problem definition. How can narrated human feelings be processed to generate music playlist that can relate to identified feelings? So with my preliminary study, I have came up with these research questions. What classifications can be introduced to music that can optimize the tasks of finding relatable music for the playlist generation? How the human reaction or mood change can be analyzed? How do you identify a person's current emotional state from verbal narration? How best do you classify music to fit person's emotional state? And last but not least, what is the optimal user interface that can retrieve human feelings and deliver the music playlist? So in order to find answers for that research questions, I conducted my literature survey and explore about these topics: audio music classification, input classification, personalized music playlist generation, musical applications when it comes to user interfaces and user experience. So if I talk about the methodology, I have to build these models: emotional prediction model, where they use the user profile and also the narration, and music classification model, which will use tone, genre, lyrics like metadata in order to classify the music, and it will ultimately deliver song playlist based on the emotional context of the narration. So at the moment I am working on a data collection application where the preliminary pilot study is to identify the data model, validate the data model. Then it will be a crowdsourced application where the users have to listen to a song and they have to select the feeling that they felt when they listen to this music, and they have to give a rating on that, and also comments in words, and also the feedback. They have to record their feedback, the feelings they have to express it into the system, and based on that we can actually try to build our models. So let me demonstrate my application using this high fidelity mockup. The users have to narrate into the system. Now,
I'm having a really bad day today. All my cats are sick. It's very difficult to see them not being very active. I tried to give them medicine, but they are very reluctant to swallow it, so it was really difficult. And on top of that, I'm also having a headache, so I can't continue with my work.
So after the narration, the song playlist will be generated and the user have to basically play the music. So not only the playlist will be generated, the prediction will be shown to the user as well. So the user can leave a feedback about the playlist that's being generated and also the predictions of the system. So after they can submit it, we can actually validate our system, and also we can improve our system as well. And thank you very much for listening to my presentation.
So if you have any questions related to this research, you can direct it to Tanjana by unmuting your mic, or you can put it up on Slido.
Again, I have a question. Can I?
Yes,
ask?
go ahead.
Yeah. So, Tanjana, sorry, interesting research, but in the data collection, I was wondering, is there any way to collect data based on, let's say, so for example, if I'm feeling sad, what kind of music I would play usually? So that way you sort of, instead of asking them, putting them a song to them and asking them to put a comment, you go the other way around. You try to understand their natural behavior and try to build a model on that. So that way it's more organic and more natural. What is your feeling on that?
So thank you for the question. So now initially actually we thought of doing it the other way around, like playing music and getting the emotional feedback. Then when you do it as what you have explained, I think having songs beforehand, like analyzing the emotions, I think it will be harder, but I'm actually planning to get that part as well, like for the data collection, just to express the feelings without the music. So that's the idea.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Just to break the silence, if you are shy to ask questions, feel free to use the app, Slido app. I will ask the presenters to answer them in the question field. And just think of this as very casual. So we will, mostly ask questions or like get our doubts clear and perhaps open the flow to collaborations. That's one of our main, hopefully, if you have collaborations in the end of these presentations, that would be the best for the CHI chapter as well. So yeah, we have 6 presentations lining up.
We do have another question at Slido. How do you plan to handle the data privacy issues? Dhanushki is asking the question.
Right. So now from Slate, actually, we are planning to get our consent forms in order to protect the privacy of the data that we are going to collect. Like first, you will have to agree with us when you are agreeing to provide data for us. So Slate will actually handle that from our university side. So yeah, I hope I answered the question.
I hope so. Right. So that's the last question we had at the Slido. Okay. Thank you, Tushitander.
Thanks.
So if there are no more questions, we can move on to the next presentation. And as Dr. Dilrukshi mentioned, please direct your questions while the presenter is presenting, or even if you have any questions to ask, you can unmute your mic after the presentation. And in the meantime, we request all the presenters to switch on their video while the presentation is going on. Thank you. The next is emotion-based conditional gaming interface design using Kansei engineering. We'll have a look at it.
Gaming is something all of us enjoy. Our focus is on emotion-based conditional gaming interface design using Kansei engineering. This research is based on the EEG technology. This study is a step up towards the technological advancements, mainly considering gaming. To give a brief description about the EEG technology, this technology is used to detect electrical activity of human brain. As the neurons communicate via electrical impulses, small metal discs are attached to the scalp, which are called electrodes, to measure the frequencies. By analyzing the graphs, which are generated by EEG, we can get an idea about the person's emotions. Moving on, Fernando.
Okay, thank you, Vishan. Now, when we talk about the background of our research, well, first I ought to say, we have either heard of or experienced EEG. In the current hypothetical position of the world's technological advancements, innovators and researchers have integrated EEG by terms of learning and gaming. In a nutshell, I would like to say classrooms, if you consider classrooms. This gives a feedback on the enthusiasm of an individual student's learning, subjected to a single module, for instance, science or math. This prepares the teacher to prioritize focus among individual students. Well, when we consider gaming, simply, this is basically video game controlled by thought, which is pretty much self-explanatory. Okay, next.
Thank you, Gio. Main purpose of this research is to maximize the game experience. Clubbing the emotion of the player with the game will assist enhancing the gaming experience. And as the game alters the gaming environment based on emotions, he or she can get the best tailored gaming experience. Next, this presentation will continue by Pankaj Surya.
Okay, so I'll be continuing with the methodology used in our study. So we are mainly using EEG signals fired from the brain itself. Our approach helps to change the game conditions according to the emotion state of a player. So let's say if the player has a negative emotion state, we try to bring it to a more positive state. Then we can also, this can be done by altering the game variables such as the skybox. The skybox is the game surrounding which is unreachable. Then also we can alter the storyline of the game itself. Other than that, the ambient lighting conditions of a game and those can be utilized as well. So next, Sandun will continue.
Thank you, Shamath. So when talking about the technologies, The EEG is a technique for measuring brain waves from a procedure in which electrodes or miniature detectors are placed on a person's scalp using a cap or a headset. The EEG is a useful tool for obtaining brain signals that correlate to different states from the scalp surface area. This is mainly based on signal frequencies ranging from 0.1 Hz to more than 100 Hz. So these signals are classified as delta, theta, alpha, beta, and gamma. The presentation will be contributed by Nadine.
Thank you, Sandhun. As results, our proposal will produce a dynamic gaming experience based on positive and negative emotions. It will produce a subjective gaming platform and can achieve meaningful adaptation in games because players are prepared for personalized experiences more than in any other form of human-computer interaction. Games may evolve and adapt to the player in many different ways and convey emotions through a variety of techniques and effects. Moving on, Nalaka.
Thank you, Nadine. Let's move on to the conclusion of our presentation. The scope of this study has been mainly focused on bringing more life towards the game by tweaking the overall gaming experiences. It's the end of our presentation. You can see our references and the team members here. Thank you all for your attention.
So thank you very much. The research presenters can switch on their videos now. And if you have any questions, you can direct them.
Okay, I'm going to jump in again. So again, like interesting work. But I was wondering how would you decide if a person is feeling positive or negative? Because different people will feel positive and negative in different scales. So like player A would like more violence, whereas player B would like less violence. So it will be very subjective to one player to another, how you tweak the game. So my concern is that if you are going to change the gameplay based on a static model, based on one specific model, it might not suit each and every player. So you have to be a bit careful when you put this into practice. So again, not really a question, but a suggestion.
The presenters, I can't see them here. Have they left? Or are they here?
We apologize, everybody. We couldn't handle all the logistics, like to get the presenters online and make them spotlight, give the time to be prepared. Yeah. So sorry, this is very much time consuming. If the presenters are there here, we would very much appreciate if you can kind of at least one member.
We can move ahead, let's go. It seems there's nobody here.
You type the question in the Slido. We will make sure that it will reach to the presenter, and we'll have a dialogue. That's
so we'll do it. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
So next we have a framework for online exam proctoring in resource-constrained settings, focusing on preserving academic integrity by Keefe.
I started my university life back in January 2018. So for 2 years, I had a very fruitful university life with my friends. But in March 2020, we had to shift to online learning methods due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So now the challenges we face is online testing, because if you are getting disconnected from your internet connection while you are doing a test, that would be an absolute nightmare. And my friends who are doing practical laboratory training find it very hard to complete their studies. And my friends who live in rural areas find it very hard to connect to internet to get uninterrupted education. In the study, Digital Quality of Life Index done by Surfshark, Sri Lanka is the worst place for internet quality, ranking 85th from 85 countries. And Sri Lanka ranked 48 in terms of internet affordability, meaning that a typical Sri Lankan have to work 384 seconds to afford the cheapest type of mobile internet. So, to conduct online exams to this date, universities have adopted Zoom proctoring, which is proctoring through video conferencing software for online exams. Of course, this requires one-to-one proctoring and it needs a lot of staff. So there are many proctoring systems proposed in literature. So they can be divided into on-site and online proctoring. On-site is where the physical presence of exam candidate is required in the exam hall. So in terms of online proctoring, there's manual methods, which is like Zoom proctoring, and semi-automated methods where they record the video and final decision is taken by humans after manual review. This is of course time consuming. And fully automated methods use various algorithms using webcam videos, keystroke dynamics, audio processing, and guess estimation, and monitor the student, and then the decision itself is taken by the software. These technologies sometimes require extra devices and advanced algorithms. They of course require high-speed internet connection and powerful computing devices. And they have very much focused on continuous user authentication, which prevents the impersonation, but they haven't been focused on academic misbehavior by rightly identified candidate. This is of course because people find new ways to cheat. And studies have ignored the constraints such as high-speed internet and computational power when developing such systems. So there's a gap in the literature as to find out whether they work in low resource constraints. This leads to the question on how to conduct online exam proctoring in resource constrained settings, keeping plagiarism to a minimum. In order to answer the main questions, I will be exploring what are the types of misconduct in proctored exams and how to detect them in low resource settings, and how to minimize computational power and minimize network data usage of automated online exam proctoring, with the goal of using computer science to identify a suitable mechanism for online proctoring that can be accessed by everyone. In order to achieve the results, I have these objectives. Creating a dataset, because we don't have any publicly available dataset to use at the moment, and we have to gather the data about the network consumption and computational power requirements of these systems. And I will be using a machine learning approach to propose a new framework that will work with low resources. So my research is a constructive research. The construct I will present is a new framework for online proctoring. However, there are a few challenges to overcome with, mainly creating the data set. So that is about my research proposal. Thank you very much.
If you have any question for Ms. Dilki Felsinger, please you can unmute and ask. Or you can put it up on Slido.
Yeah, I have a question regarding this.
Yes.
Okay, it's actually not a question but a suggestion. What's the base requirement that you took for this research? I mean the computational power performance. What's the base requirement that you considered in this process?
Just jumping in before we continue, it would be really nice if you say your name and affiliation before you ask the question. That would,
Yeah. Sure. Amaditya, Miss Dilke, can you please explain me what's the base requirement in this computational field?
You mean?
Yeah, like it's like clock speed or something like that. Processing power, I mean.
Yeah, both the processing power and the network data requirement will be considered. The network bandwidth.
What are the minimum parameters? I mean, like 3 gigahertz or something like that. Yeah.
So I have really not decided it yet.
Okay.
Based on the participants survey, we will be evaluating their what they are currently using. So based on that, we will be deciding.
Yeah. Okay. Here's a suggestion. There's a application called Lockdown Browser, and it has another extension that called Lockdown Monitoring. So I have experience in using that. So what I experienced is it did not require that much computational power, and also according to your categorization, I think it's going under that full automated system. It collects data from all the exam participants, and through a network, it communicates with some servers or something like that. And then the professors or the examination conductors can gather all the data, and there will be some computational processes in their service. I mean, not in the exam participants, but the conductors or the servers which host that service. So I think you can look up to that also, that particular application. It's just a suggestion. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
We have another question. Yes, Ramesh, go ahead. I was just going to ask.
No, I was just thinking, because this is like a very qualitative kind of research. You might want to talk to some of the proctors and students even to get some in-depth details of intricate small issues which you may not have, you may not be able to get from a questionnaire or any other data set. And I'm sure you may have experienced this as a student or an invigilator, but it's important to have an outside look as an observer as well. So observing few sessions, not just in one institution, but few institutions will help you to get a better understanding of how this works in the real world. So yeah, that's my suggestion. Thanks.
Thank you. It was really helpful.
I think that's open up collaborations as well, Ravihansa. If you would like to help them in the ethnographic researchers, please jump in.
Yeah, sure. I mean, you can contact me, and then I can see what I can do. So
yeah, you are more than welcome, Ravi.
Yeah, those who don't know,
Thank
Dr.
you very
Ravihansa is in Australia. You're from Queensland?
Queensland.
Yes. So
yeah.
Please, reach out. We'll share the context later. Yeah, Devanshi.
Okay. So we'll move on to the next presentation. Next, we have employment recommendation and resume shortlisting portal based on machine learning for the information technology industry in Sri Lanka from the University of Colombo School of Computing.
Hello everyone, we are from the University of Colombo School of Computing and we are proposing an employment recommendation and resume shortlisting portal based on machine learning models for the information technology industry in Sri Lanka. So according to the current status of Sri Lanka, we all know that the IT industry has developed into one of the most prominent sectors in the country. And along with these advancements, the IT industry caters to many job opportunities. But along with these, this industry has become so diverse. There are already many companies out there, and we can also see that there are new companies coming to the industry every now and then. But all these companies are quite different from each other. Their portfolios are different, their field of expertise, their technology stacks, the projects that they undertake, all these are different from one another. And due to this prevalent diversity, it's quite difficult for a job seeker to get to know and to be aware of all these companies out there, and also to be aware of the job opportunities that they provide. And when looking for job opportunities, the job seekers necessarily want to find a company that matches perfectly with their profile. And when I say profile, we can take into consideration many factors, such as the field of study, experience, projects, technology stacks, skills, and the job preference. But due to the diversity that is prevalent, many job seekers, especially the young and fresh graduates coming to the industry, usually don't know about the company's simply available opportunities. And also, when they apply for a particular position, they have no way of tracking the status of the application. And because of this, many job seekers apply positions that do not reach their full potential. And because of these factors, eventually they end up in places that they are not happy with. And I can also talk about the other side of the story, the employees. So employees necessarily want to find employees that match with their expectation. But as of now, we know there is no platform that does that. And as we all are very much aware, there are thousands of graduates coming to the industry from universities every year. And because of this, the HR departments of the companies receive thousands of resumes for a particular job vacancy. And therefore, it's quite a tedious task for them to profile and to shortlist all the resumes that they receive. And having identified these drawbacks, we decided to come up with a solution for them. So when we look into all these factors, it was clear to us that we could provide a solution by developing a job portal that makes use of machine learning models when it comes to, especially when it comes to the employment recommendation and resume shortlisting. Over to Yashan.
Thank you, Pramodya. So as a solution for all the aforementioned problems, we present an employment recommendation and resume shortlisting portal based on machine learning. This portal features a recommendation engine whereby the job seekers will be recommended job opportunities that match with their profile while considering characteristics such as field of study, technology stack, skill set, and previous work experience. As well as job seekers will be recommended to employees according to technology stack, previous job opportunities, projects, field of expertise, and all the other preferences employees have mentioned in their portfolio. And as a result of the solutions we have mentioned before, employers will receive many resumes for a particular job opportunity. In that case, employers can use the resume shortlisting functionality we have provided through the web portal to filter the received resumes to a preferred number based on preferred set of keywords. In addition to that, the web portal will facilitate the typical features of an online job portal like search functionalities, managing a profile, LinkedIn integration, and analytics and notifications. This proposed system would help the job seekers to find their dream job that perfectly matches with their preferences, as well as the employers in the recruitment process, eventually making the whole job application and recruitment process efficient and effective. And that's the end of our presentation. Thank you.
Hello everyone, we are from the University of Colombo School of
Right, so now it's time for the audience to ask questions from the presenters. The presenters are here, right?
Yes.
Okay, if no one else is asking, I can go again. I always have questions.
Yeah, we know.
So I was just thinking, I'm pretty sure that there are certain applications which is used to shortlist candidates, at least in academia, as far as I know. So at least in Australia. So I'm thinking if you have had a chance to look at these other applications when you're proposing your own solution.
Yeah, of course.
What are those?
Yeah, we went through the SIP Recruiter. It's an international system, but unfortunately, it's not available for Sri Lanka. And also, it's not just focused for IT industry. It's a generic application. But here we are addressing basically the IT industry compared to the other people, other candidates, the scenarios or the criteria that we are looking for when shortlisting resumes or kind of things in IT industry is kind of different, because we are mainly focusing on the projects that they have done and what are the technologies that they have been using in the projects, and also their field of expertise, their interest and kind of thing. So based on that, those systems would not be perfectly specified for IT industry, but most of them are not available in Sri Lanka right now. So that's why we are addressing this particular problem, especially for IT industry, for people who are willing to get into the IT industry sooner.
Okay. So I'm assuming that you had some talks with leading IT people in Sri Lanka, like say some leading IT companies, the recruiters, HR people, to get an idea how they do things in their companies. Am I right?
Yes, we have talked with few people and we are extending our discussions furthermore.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for your question.
Hello everyone, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, I'm Kasun from UCSC. Nice project, but there are some concerns related to your training data. I think you need to be quite careful, because this is a field where it can raise lots of fairness issues. So, for example, like there is a classic case that once Amazon tried to do that one, and then they used training data which had a gender bias. And then there was a result, it was resulted that at the end, it was discriminating against the women. So even students, even male students who went to women's high school or something, or primary education in women's high school, those resumes got rejected because the training data they have selected in the Amazon over the years that had captured some kind of gender bias using that machine learning model. And also there are several fairness issues. For example, like majority minority issues can occur. So because of that, you need to very carefully look at the fairness issues related to this research. So you can read some classic cases in the internet. If you search for fairness related issues in machine learning, you will be able to read lots of examples. So that's my suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. We'll consider your feedback on our research. Thank you very much.
So sorry, one final comment before I need to leave in a while. So as a general trend, what I'm seeing is that there are so many interesting ideas, but as especially HCR researchers, we need to really understand what people actually need, and try to talk with them, interview them, work very extensively with them, and also do proper background research before landing on a solution. Otherwise, you'll be repeating stuff. You'll be doing something that is not of value. So you need to understand the value of proper user research and engaging people in design. For example, even in a PhD, even if you're doing a PhD, you would spend most of that time engaging with people, not really deciding on your solution. So that is a very important part, which I feel like is lacking as a general theme. So That's sort of my observation.
So thank you again for directing your questions. If there are no more, we can move to the next presentation. So the next presentation is titled Kansai Engineering Research on Designing a Smart Jacket for Bike Riders from the General Sir John Kothawala Defense University.
A very good morning to all of you. Kansai Engineering Research on Designing a Smart Jacket for Bike Riders. I'm Amaya Silva from General Sir John Kothawala Defense University. This research was done under the supervision of Dr. L.P. Kalansurya, a senior lecturer at General Sir John Kothawala Defense University. These are the co-authors of this research paper. In today's world, all of us know the motorbike riders have the threat of becoming the victims of road accidents. Not only road accidents, even certain environmental hazards as well. So, the main reason to this is, as riders, they are exposed to the environmental directly. Sometimes they are fully exposed themselves. They are exposing themselves fully to the environment. So, as security measurements, such we can say, as an example, if I mention automatic air filling jackets, they have been implemented using modern technologies, but they are designed for specific systems and they are not in common use. So specifically, if I talk about the automatic air filling jackets, those jackets get detached when an accident occurs. So this is issue where there's no safety precaution that have been taken prior to the damages or the accidents that takes place. So our aim was to create a smart jacket for the motorbike users using Kansai engineering process to detect, take precautions when an accident is about to take place or prior to any accident. So when I talk about the objectives, here I should mention that this is a design which is user-centric, and where the features of this design are the preferences of the community, and this ensures the safety for the bike riders. Safety of bike riders by special features such as air filling, location tracking, nearby vehicle detection, voice alerting, and speed sensors. So focusing on increasing the usage among common civilians. And we have implemented this, we have created this design so that the certain non-functional requirements such as simplicity, stylishness, and comfortability and regular usage are also satisfied in that manner. So considering the technology is adapted, Kansai engineering methodology and as well as GPS sensors and UV sensors are being used. So we used GPS sensors to track the location of the riders at critical situations, and the UV sensors we used to detect nearby vehicles and to give the signals using voice alerts. So using the existing the other works and others work and existing researchers, by reviewing them we obtained Kansai words. Those are the words, and a survey was conducted among 60 participants, which we chose randomly and independent of the age group, and this was conducted by rating them according to 5-point scale. So these ratings were identified considering the major factors which were obtained through reviewing literatures, and these factors were categorized as main features and additional features. So next we have the results we obtained for main features in percentage wise. These are the percentage wise preferences of additional features. And we could come up with a smart jacket which is fully covered, a leather and a black color one. So these are the pie charts which we use. These illustrate what the preferences of the community. According to these only, we consider the appearance of the smart jacket. So finally, we obtained as a result, we obtained a smart jacket, a design for the smart jacket according to user preferences by integrating special features and functionalities. So this is a demonstration of that smart jacket, and this contains several features such as neck pillow, GPS sensors, UV sensor, speed sensor, charging port, temperature controller, music controller, Bluetooth. So also this is resistant to tear, resistant to dust, and also this is waterproof, and it contains an airbag. Since this is a user-oriented design, this can be used commonly among civilians, and also this can be used regularly. So these are our references. So I would like to thank ACM CIG Research Showcase for this opportunity, and also our supervisor, Dr. LP Kalansurya. Thank you.
If you have any questions, please unmute and ask, direct it to the Slido link. And in the meantime, we would like to kindly request all the presenters to switch on their camera.
And just to inform the rest of the group, Dr. Kalansuri also present, I believe, in this audience now. It's good to have their advisors on the panel as well. Welcome.
Yes, presenters, can you please turn on the video? I can't see them here.
Thank you, Dr. Dilruchi.
Pradeep is here. Hi, Pradeep.
Hi. I'm sorry for the delay. So I'm not able to stay throughout. So.
Yeah, no worries. One presenter is here. I mean, we do have a question here at the Slido. Kiruthiran is asking, won't this jacket become a distraction to the bike riders? Kiruthiran, are you here?
Yes, sir.
Why not ask the question?
My problem is won't this jacket become a distraction? Like, let's say we are driving and suddenly we get some alert, like speed alert or something. So, that might put us off our senses, right? And that might lead to some accident. Won't there be something like that?
Yeah, actually, there is some sort of possibility of creating some accidents because of that. But here we focused on designing the jacket, basically focusing on the user requirements and their preferences. Before, we collected some set of
You might mute.
We created a set of collected a set of concept words by analyzing the existing researchers and literature reviews. Then only we created a survey and asked them according to their ratings only. We selected some sort of features to be integrated inside the smart jacket. Therefore, it's according to their preferences only that we identified these sort of features should be included in here, and likewise. So yeah, I kind of agree that because of these features, there could be some accidents also. But here we basically focused on integrating the user preference and their needs into the smart jacket.
Were you able to do any sort of evaluation, user evaluation? I mean, once that is designed, how they felt about it, that sort of a thing?
Before designing, we did a sort of a survey to get their the ratings about our features and all. But after designing, we didn't do an evaluation.
All right.
Yes.
So, I mean, to any sort of an HCI work, evaluation would be required at the end to see whether our proof of concepts POCs worked basically. So I would suggest you to do some sort of fun evaluation so that you'll be confident in the future on what your research achieved, right? I mean, I had another question on this kansei. Care to elaborate what this kansei means?
It's a what do you call? It's a definition that focuses on making a product or a service into like a more into user-centric way, in a more user-centric way, focusing on the emotions and feelings of the users when designing the product. So like by
isn't that the core of user-centered design? I mean, is there a difference between UCD and kansei? Or is kansei is there a difference between user-centered design or kansei?
In kansei, they basically focus on the user emotions and feelings. In a user-centric design, they usually focus on like the requirements and the specifications more than the feelings and emotions.
Okay.
So if there are no more, is there a question? Okay. So if there are no more questions, we have come to the main event of today's event, that is the keynote speaker by Professor Hemagamake. So to give you a brief introduction, Professor Keefe Hemagamake is the director of the University of Colombo School of Computing. He obtained his Bachelor of Computer Science from University of Colombo and his doctorate from the Hiroshima University in Japan. He has had many academic awards, including Outstanding and Award for the Excellence Researchers. And he has more than 100 publications in international peer-reviewed journals and conference proceedings. He is a senior member of IEEE, a member of ACM, and an academic advocate for ISACA. He is also the chair of IEEE Computer Society in Sri Lanka. And Professor Hemagamake is a professor in computer science at the University of Colombo School of Computing, and he is also the head of Department of Information Systems Engineering of the University of Colombo School of Computing. So it is our pleasure to have you, Professor, at our showcase event. So over to you, Professor.
Thank you. Can I share the screen? Still, I cannot.
Irina, can you see that?
Yes, give me a second, sir. Let's.
Okay, now okay.
Now you can, right, sir?
Yes. I hope you can see the screen. Am I correct?
No, give me a second. Now you can, sir. Yep.
Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much for inviting me to speak at the special interest group on the CHI research group in Sri Lanka, and really happy to see the formation and the development of the group for the development of the human-computer interaction-based studies. And there are a few mistakes on the introduction, so I'm not going to correct. I just wanted to say. I selected today on a topic, digital transformation in higher education for hybrid learning. This is the same topic I use for to educate some of the administrators in my university as in a few days ago, as in a part of 100 years. But I thought this will be also good to use and discuss the same thing in a different forms, because the group is different, and because which we are planning to So I can then talk about the things that what we really need to do it, because in my personal opinion, there are a lot to be done for the digital transformation in higher education in Sri Lanka, and especially the computing community has a bigger role to play in this context. Let me start the thing. Okay, I will be talking about some of the things, okay, digital transformation, what it is. I'll go a little bit fast on my slides because I know the time is limited, but we'll talk about the key things and the 3 stages on the digital transformation I'll basically introduce, and then some of the practical issues very briefly I'll say, and then what are the things to be considered on this journey on the paradigm shift, what we call the digital transformation. And finally, some thoughts about the future hybrid learning environment, which is a very important thing to be considered for the sustainability in the higher education, especially in an era where we face lots of problems now. There are so many different definitions about the digital transformation. If you search on the net, I mean, the different researchers have talked about these things under the different condition. But I selected something which I found very interesting from Educast, which I give as a reference. 10 to 15 years ago, we were talking about this one in a different terminology, what we call the business process reengineering in e-learning. Because to get the maximum benefit out of e-learning, business process reengineering is a requirement. But now the present context and the present word is this one. So here, transformation is a series of a deep and coordinated shift of the 3 things: culture, workforce, and the technology, where that enables new educational and operational models. So when we say culture, it consists of the several things, especially starting from practice to move forward. Workforce related to the people, and the technology is what we really comes there. And this transform many institutions' business model, strategic direction, value proposition. So I'll talk about these 3 things a little bit in detail in the next few slides before I go into that. So invite all of you to look at the EduCourse reviews, and they have lots of useful materials which will be very good for the HCI community, because these things are important for us to think about the future systems. Why we need a digital transformation? Because mainly the changes are happening in a different ways, and now as you see here from the last, starting from the March 2020, we are facing in a kind of a completely different era, and this decade is in a very decade of uncertainty, I would say. Higher education may do many things to take the advantage of these changes for the development. If you don't do it, these changes, they could even become a kind of not an opportunities, but it could become a threat for any institute. So that's why really people need to think about it. And transformation is a methodology to take the advantage. Yes, it's not only methodology, there are other methodologies, but this could be considered as one of them. So many benefits are there. So resilient, flexible, and relevant as they face array of increasing difficult changes in higher education. Yes, that's some of the things we are. For example, looking at the challenges what we face due to the COVID-19 pandemic is some sort of a thing. I mean, the simplest example that comes to my mind is when suddenly it was a March 2020, somewhere around the 13th or 15th, suddenly forced us to stay. We don't know how many days to stay because then UGC chairman discuss with me and what are the things we can do it. Can we given some sort of a special support for our students to access the internet and continue the education? But fortunately, we had a kind of a network connecting all universities, that is the LEARN. Then we propose a kind of mechanisms to face the problem. So almost after 4 to 5 weeks, we were able to get back to the education in a different form. That's the online. And at that time, almost all the universities are, to some extent, with the learning management systems. And I mean, it vary from faculty to faculty, but somehow we were able to recover, and the online became a lifeline for the higher education from that thing onward. Why we need to think about this is sustainability. Sustainability is the main theme in this decade. If you don't address this one, whatever the development we will have is meaningless. And sustainability is a key thing for all higher education institutes for their survival. So sometimes people may ask, of course, if we do everything on online, okay, like the delivering the courses, having an LMS, and having so many nice, fancy information systems and the electronic communications, is that the digital transformation? Really speaking, it is not. All these things using the digital technology could happen without digital transformation. So that is some of the things. Sometimes people think doing everything online means we have transformed to the another era and things are happening in different way. That's a kind of a feeling, but it's not the really. I'll always compare this matter with if you are in a train and suppose there are two tracks. In the other track there is a train moving, and you may feel your train is also moving. Yes, because when changes happens around you, you feel you are changing. But of course, in some cases, you may not be moving. You will be still. Your train may be still there. So remember that changes may give us a feeling that things are changing automatically, but it's of course not. So strong coordinated effort of the business model, values, strategic direction, those three things. I mean, there are other factors, as I mentioned, other researchers are talking about, but business model is a key thing that we really need to rethink about. And on top of that, some values as well as an overall direction has to be built in the context of a digital architecture. It's not like looking at a SWOT analysis and thinking about what is happening in the political and the contextual thing. We are on the computing side, we are thinking about the digital architecture, and the transformation changes the organization for the next generation. Please remember that. I mean, I belong to a different generation, and there are lots of people in the other generations, and the people who are to come in the other. Every decade defines in a kind of a generation. So 10 years is in a big period. Moving to the other more things, I mean, some of the key things on the digital transformation, the three things we have to define clearly. One thing called the digitization. That is what we see, converting objects of the analog or physical to digital form. Even the scanning in a document, you can think about the digitization. But there are more other things to be considered. Digitalizations means actually the putting systems and to get your current existing business model to move forward, and continuing and improving the current businesses using the digital infrastructure is what we do in the digitalization. Then my most important thing, the digital transformation, is completely changing the business model of the higher education. Even this is applied for the other sectors, and to get the maximum benefit. Otherwise, what we do always will have a limitation. So this is the EDUCAUSE a kind of an explanation. As you can see, even the digitalization, there are two things. Even just making digital things are not enough. Organizing the things, most of the time that is not happening in our context. And where the digitalization is what we nowadays think about, this automating the process and the streamline the process to get the maximum benefit within the context where we do it. So we are actually struggling the first two stages, and we are thinking about the third stage as the next era. I mean, some countries already in there. So it may vary from faculty to faculty, institute to institute, university to university. Things may vary, but we need to have a good understanding about this roadmap. And even if we completely forget about the digital transformation that should be done, even in the second stage, that will lead to a kind of a problem where we may face a lot of issues which will prevent us moving forward. So educating all the parties are very, very important in this process. Let me take a very quick examples. I mean, the signing in a document, we can't do this one these days because of the COVID. Earlier we had, still we have a fear of getting the infections through the normal printed document, then the scanning, and I'm putting my signature using the Adobe Acrobat. But then there is so many other issues, not a convenient, no security, and even if you use some Adobe Cloud, if you don't pay it, all your documents are gone with them, and you know nothing about, even though you signed an agreement. There are many, many issues still we suffer during the stage 1 and stage 2, and convincing the people has become a big thing. And most of the time what I have seen, systems are not user friendly and systems are not convenient. Sometimes technical solution we already have, so still there is a gap to take these technical solutions to the people. It's something what people really need to do. At the same time, having this working environment, accepting the digital signature. I mean, this is something really lagging in this country, even though we have so many this and that act and all these things, but there isn't no way of validating independently our signatures. And whatever the things we sign, even some people don't accept digital signatures, including the banks. They don't accept in the because still we live in the old terms of the financial and the administrative regulation in the universities. And that is what we comes with this University Act and the Establishment Code, which defines the many things. Another example is a library. I'm not going in details. I put it this one to explain other things, the ebooks, the digital library systems. But what is the hybrid library? What should be looks like? So it's not just simply in a combination of the physical and digital, where you can put a lot of augmented reality application and extended reality things. But most important thing, what is the new business model for a library? What do we really expect from that? It's not only serving the registered students, it should be providing a service in a different terms. And if people don't think that one, I mean, what we can do, it always is limited. So expectations are a lot. Yes, new business model on the digital infrastructure. The key thing, whatever the things we do, we should not forget our key parties, the students. So improved student outcomes. So the first benefit should go to that stakeholder. And effective teaching and learning, it's the things that what we really want to do, and at the same time collaborative effective culture of R&D. And those are the three main things where people need to think about this new business model. So requires agile, flexible management to achieve the strategic aims and the goals efficiently. I mean, the moment we say is an agile software development methodologies are the what comes, but that's agile management things are not, even though the lean is a famous traditional management policy, is not in our context. So it is a very important for the push the people to change the way we do things. So cultural shifts, culture means here it's in our working culture, operational culture, and the decision makings are very, very important. And even the communicating through the emails. I mean, most of the people here will find it easy, but it is not the common context still. And the email has become, some people want to print the email to read it. I mean, still there are some group of people like that. And they don't read the email, they put in a secretary to the email. And sometimes you have to call the person and ask them to read the email. I mean, I also face the same problem when I have too many emails. That's another issue. Practice and management need to change. Yes, that's the lots. I mean, the things can be discussed because of the time. I'm not going in detail. Increasing the agility and the flexibility. Lightweight approach is the term that is common to all of us. I mean, we live in a heavyweight, this traditional document-oriented infrastructure, and then these practices, changing the practices are always limited, and the freedom should be given to move forward. And where the materialized opportunities to achieve the goals to collectively should be available. And that will help. I mean, the living in the silos is another big issue that I have seen in the whole these things. Leadership collaborations are very, very critical, and where the leadership across these units, I mean, the silo culture has to come out. And this is what we have seen in the software architecture to get the maximum benefit. The same thing comes in the real world context. But other thing is the strong leadership at the divisional level. We expect the supreme in the university and the vice chancellor, or they may be the leader in the country to solve all the problems, our problem. And we are very good on criticizing what we have done. I mean, even the leadership at the divisional levels, very good in criticizing the others, but what they have doing. I mean, this is what I say, the success or failure is in a collective thing. If this country fails, remember, we all are responsible for it, not on a one person. So we all have some sort of a responsibility to do it. And that's why we need to actually come together and do some of the things. So adopt new digital strategic architecture technologies and collect the data sets. I mean, some practical things. Now, I mean, some of the administrators are doing, not like those days. I mean, the sending in a form, asking her to fill. At least some people now use a Google form to collect the data. That is, I don't want to say isn't a perfect, but there is at least that way of collecting the data is much more better. So use these facilities. Sometimes people know the facilities, but they hardly use it. So strategy and the process has to be changed, and the people really need to empower, not going in detail. And the key performance indicators really need to design IT investments and online educations, linking them, because traditionally people don't see this kind of linking is not done, and the people always have a question: why do you need a few billions for the IT investments? And some people, it's not their fault, they can't understand because they think about from the traditional point of view. And then data is the key things. As we all know, all the decisions should be taken based on the data, but unfortunately we don't have the data. And collecting the data and analyzing and putting in some AI techniques. Before that, you need to collect the data. I mean, without the data, how do you to make a decision? And we live in a context where the decisions are taken based on the feelings rather than the data. And even the issues like the daily attendance is in a kind of a joke today, because daily attendance are physical attendance. Nobody is coming now. So people really need to think about a different way of gathering that data. Even student attendance also has changed a lot. No lecture rooms are empty, although lectures are going according to the timetable on the Zoom meeting. And AI techniques for the automation is very critical, and that is where we really need to come forward and help and change this society rather than waiting other people to do it. That's why I really wanted to invite all of you. Learn analytics, for a simple example, there are lots of ways where we can take things forward and help it. Even there was some kind of a thing about the presentation about the assessment. I mean, the Learn Analytics could be easily used to validate the validity of online examination, the results, even based on the continuous assessment results, if people really analyze them using the Learn Analytics. Workforce shifts in the digital transformation is the most difficult. Changing the people is the hardest thing. I mean, you can change everything, but you can't change the people, then everything collapses. I mean, this is the known theory, all of us know. And then how do you really, I mean, the first thing people say, we don't know. I mean, the literacy, the part of the literacy, ICT becomes a compulsory thing. I mean, it's a, sometimes there was a very nice thing I read a few days ago. Now young kids knows how to use the mobile, but they don't know how to put the buttons in their shirts. I mean, that was a kind of a discussion I heard in some other context, but that is natural. But because when the environment is put, people start learning. End of the traditional culture of working at an office, faculty, or going to the university is gone. I mean, everything is a time to change, and all these big buildings are becoming in a waste. We have already gone on a 1 year. Most of the things is happening in without buildings. But anyway, still you needed a building for some other purpose. But we have to come up with the model. I mean, rather than complain saying can't this is a fail or can't or whatever, we really need to think about a model to change the things. So end of some jobs, new jobs, lots of things will come, and some people will lose the jobs, but it is at least in this computerization process, this the kind of thing happens. Then automation and the advanced technologies, we really need to bring them fast. These are not now research topics anymore longer. As you can see here, even the many things can bring into our operational mode. So I mean, in that case, we have a responsibility to work with the others and a guide and bring the prototypes. Even that's what I always like to ask our young student community to think about the problems in a very open way and not in a traditional mode, and try to bring these new technologies to have some creative, innovative solution for us. So workshops, teachers facilitate students based on the data analytics. it's something that will happen. So where the personalized teaching is not something, so the numbers in the lecture or classes are not the important thing, because things could happen. Teaching and learning analytics for the academic management is a very critical. I mean, that these are, again, is not a big thing. Even the people, I mean, the big service providers like a Coursera, they use that one very, even in the MOOC courses, as you can see them. Then opportunities, collaboration, and the cost of R&D. I mean, it will come down a lot. I mean, as you can see now, you don't need a high-end computers, because you can just run your data set on some of the remote servers, and even the pay based on the requirement. And the research data management, we really need to establish, even though the framework is there, still, I mean, the things are not happening as we expected. There are lots of things that has to be done. So that is the gap between the human and computers. That's what I see in my world. So technology shifts, it's happening. Like our lifetime of IT is a very short, like our life. So take the advantage. That's rather than waiting 4 years, what you buy today will have only lifetime of 2 to 3 years. Within that 2 to 3 years, if you don't use it, if you start thinking like that, I mean, it is a dead. So strategic implementation, it's really, really critical in the real come. So no more longer it's an intangible asset, as we all know, it's in a service. So then use that power to find the solutions. But in that case, we really need to come up with a new model. Sourcing and scaling is a very important thing. Most of the time, we are using some of the things, some other times we are not using. The Learn Zoom, as you can see, it's kind of a bottleneck for many activities, but the night time, nobody is using. Reduce the cost of the commodity services. Okay, still the Google is not charging, so we can survive, but no one knows why they are not charging. Is obvious. I don't want to say, everybody knows why they are not charging, because we are paying with our data, not in the financial terms. And the internet, we really need to find a solution. I mean, not depending on one service provider is a kind of a big issue in the future. Technology management is a big issue. What we have seen in the whole context, people sometimes think only the things like a hardware, but the software is also everything we can't get in a free. There is nothing free. I mean, there's no free lunch. Okay, managing intangible assets is harder, as we know. Enterprise architecture, services, that has to be considered based on the new business model that what we propose. Information and the cybersecurity will definitely play a critical role, and downtime, it's even milliseconds, it will be an important matter in the future. Personalization, emerging technologies. So I'm not going to talk but most important thing I wanted to say, these things are now we have to get into the practices. So we really need to, even all the researchers need to think about taking these technologies to put into the practice. And then there is lots of application research are important more than the theoretical research, because still then when through that application research, you may find the ways, new ways where we really need to address and improve. I mean, I have seen so many things. So adopt innovative practices and create the digital environments that provide the unprecedented digital, and the flexibility is an important. So digital transformation is again the paradigm shift. It's not just changing what we do today. Organization, structure, entities across has to go. We can consider both the top-down and bottom-up approach. It's not waiting for the president to come and give us the solution. We really need to start working on our ways to find the solution for our problems. Okay, and if you looked at important things, whatever the model, whatever the new model, the first benefit should go to the students. Well, others will also there. Our readiness also required to assess. It's a journey, not a destination, but are we really ready? That is the question. So probably each people really need to find out. It may be where they will have to assess, and then the people will really need to start working on these three main factors. Checklist you can find if you search. There are so many checklists, and you can prepare it and find out. But the strong level of the digitalization is a very critical thing. You can't jump to the third level without passing the first and second level. We are struggling with the first and second level. That's what my feeling. But don't forget the third level. And new business model. should bring the new values. So it's not, if you are still, I mean, this is the, sometimes people are thinking about a new model, but bringing the old values. Like in the new model should have a new values, okay? Multiple pathways is possible. Yes, that's, don't want to say this is the only way to do. There are many ways to do it. And important thing, we really need to establish the collaboration, shared and a learning and collective experience, build the better models and strong capabilities in that case. If I just take a simple example, what I believe it, what I visualize the things, okay? Digital transformation teaching is the electronic materials for teaching is now, earlier I have the, I mean, I remember 10 to 15 years ago, asking teachers to put their PDF on the LMS and don't give the printed material. I had a big debate and convincing the people. Some people didn't like it, but no one is today debating about that. Even people are not allowed to print, and even the student don't like to get the printed thing. It's a mess. And environmental issues are there if we keep on printing, as you know. Digitalization's okay, we have set up an LMS, many other tools, lots of things, and the e-teaching is happening to some extent. So then what is the digital transformation in the teaching? So there, the business model is really important. On-demand teaching is some people even don't like to think. I know that because teaching always depends on the kind of traditional model where the teachers want a full authoritative model. No, the teaching should happen as a service where anybody wants to do it. And the MOOC culture, it's not there. Unfortunately, even the Dilrukshi has done the PhD, so she will get the results very soon. But thing is very important. What we really need to promote this culture. I mean, I like to at least invite this group to think about and conducting a MOOC across the universities to promote these things. I mean, then that culture will go to there. So it's not to one university, other things. I mean, if someone doesn't like the course in one university, students should have enough freedom to go to another university and select the course and earn the credits. And I mean, I know some universities and the teachers may not happy. Students should have a freedom to select the teacher. So, and if you built in a financial model, pay as you teach, I think many people will lose the job, and there may be trade union action. I'm not going to take, but these are the kind of a model people could think. I mean, not everything, some other suggestion to create a big model. Learning will have the same thing, putting in electronic materials, people like to keep, and virtual learning environment, not only LMS, there are so many things we can connect it and provide it, and things comes as even, I mean, UCSC, I don't like to use the word LMS. I mean, the people there knows that VLE is the kind of a thing. The LMS is a more technical of the thing. And then new model for the hybrid learning is a critical thing. It's independent of the location. It's something already happens, but whether you come to the university, whether you are at home, and on-demand learning. I mean, always on-demand learning doesn't happen. Someone has to wait for 2 or 3 years to do a course. And why, if the student is ready, why do you want to force the students not to learn that? It's a matter of earning the credits. And flexibility in selecting and following courses, that has to be promoted in this hybrid model. And freedom in learning, people can discuss in different ways. I mean, but that true freedom really need to come. We always are forced to learn. That's what I have seen. And then in the assessment, where somehow electronic versions of the examinations is available, past papers, but the teachers are given a guide, don't use the past papers, you have to create otherwise, since you are paid, and things like that. E-assessment systems are coming, and we are working on every university, and they are very critical. Still, there are lots of work, things has to be done. I mean, still we are in a week, and even the internet connections issues are there. So in such a low resource environment, you can have an assessment models, and testing mechanisms could be done. And what is most important thing is the on-demand assessment. I mean, what do you mean by the on-demand? And when the student is ready, he should go and take the test. And that model has to be established in the education institutes. And then the culture will change. You don't want to wait for 15 weeks to take the test. Sometimes if people are ready, they will do it very fast, or sometimes people take more time. It's up to them. Open assessments should be there. I mean, the open assessment, some people may not agree. My thing is, if you have 1,000 questions, make it public. Ask students to go through all the questions, but your pass mark is 90. Okay, if they with a negative marking, if they got a more than 90, then they pass it. So then your workload is gone. The only thing is to set up the 90 question. No plagiarism will happen, or no proctoring is required. It's an open, but you really need some other proctoring, but it's still, I mean, the limitations are there. Micro assessments need to promote. I mean, that is really will help the e-portfolio things to take it forward. I mean, even though I have tried to promote this one in the many places, including my place, still nothing new things are happening. That's thing, and new pedagogy for the assessments also required to come. And it's the people really need to come with new things. So strong coordination is not a coordination. But what happens is that right now the coordination is a separate groups, but we need to think about them, all the three things together. And then what will happen, this new model, business model, where they define the operations and the values and the education will come, and that will lead to what we call innovative leaderships will help. And don't expect you are also leader. I mean, as we say, all our kings and like that, all the leaders. Okay, so don't expect one to come and lead to. You can collaboration across entities. I mean, not the universities and this group is in a very good example. That I'm really happy. I mean, we really need to work across the institutes to take this country forward. That's what I think is the most important thing. So the future, don't wait for the opportunities. This is the Professor Marnaika's word. And don't wait until everything is perfect. That's the lesson I learned because 10 to 15 years ago, when we start developing the e-learning content, there was a dial-up connection. Nobody is accessing the internet. And then there was an advice I received from him. Well, you are asked to build a car, not the road. So like that, the technology is changing, environment is changing. We really need to start working on something. If we start thinking, waiting for a perfect environment or perfect world, nothing will happen. Start the journey of the digital transformation, new business model, future is today. So you really need to come forward. Everyone can contribute in that context, I feel. Critical for the sustainability and the survival of the education, research, and technology, everything. So institutes comes as a part of it. Need to educate the stakeholders. I mean, I personally feel the group here can easily understand what I say, but the difficult thing is to make them understandable. Once you have a curriculum or anything, you can go to any university and take the course and earn the credits and then redeem all your credits at one point to get a degree. And I hope in the near future, one day that will be established. But still, I mean, even the Quality Assurance Council also proposed a kind of a mechanism of this credit transfer across the universities. And it's happening to in our context, it's still not popular. I mean, usually the students should be able to go and take the similar course other place and come. I mean, sometimes what I have seen, the people think that course is different and the content is different, evaluation is different. So how do we accept that one? So that's a kind of there are institutional issues also there. But I think it's if it is in a higher education institute is accepted in the circle and really it comes there. So the issue is when a student registered at one place, usually they don't allow for another place. Even the Coursera course can a student do and get a credit, and is it acceptable for our context? In the still we ask the students to try it and as an additional learning activity, but as not an alternative option for people to earn the credits of that course. So that really need, and the traditional universities has a kind of a problem in that context. But then we really need to come with new entities which will recognize those things, and in the future, all these qualification are paperworks. I think my think it's if the people are capable, that's the most important thing.
Indeed, thank you very much. Audience, you can ask questions or Slido. You can use Slido. We can read out to Professor if you have any questions.
Professor, thank you so much for that nice enlightening talk. I would like to ask a question about if we are looking at the Sri Lankan context, actually, just like before that, just to introduce me, I'm Kalpani, and I'm also in the domain of technology enhanced learning. So your talk was obviously interesting for me since it's my domain too, just like Dilukshi. So therefore, just when it comes to Sri Lankan context rather than the Western countries, Western cultures, what factors do you think, the hindering factors do you think that establish in the country? Why are we so lacking in certain aspects? Why can't we go forward in certain things? Obviously, there are some obvious reasons. Let's not deal with that one. But most of because from one sense, from one stand, Sri Lankan the accuracy, the literacy levels are very high comparatively in most of than the other countries in the region also. So, and we are a small nation, and technology is not something very far for us, for most of us. But still, as a researcher, I feel like there are certain factors, or there can be, there are certain things that I don't understand. For an example, MOOC is a very good example. It's a very good point that you brought out. Like, why can't we make MOOC so famous in here, right? There are so many reputed organizations offering MOOCs for totally free, but it's not embedded in the curriculum. It's really hard to embed it in the curriculum.
Yeah.
Some thoughts about these lines?
Yeah. I mean, there are several things I will explain based on my experience. In our university higher education sector, I mean, we usually have a public universities and the private universities. So the public universities, the biggest issue is this so-called 40 years old, the University Act, okay, which was done even before the internet, I mean, the 1980s. Okay, still we can't do something outside that, then there will be a problem. So even the administration, everything is based on it. I think the UGC now is working on the new version. I haven't seen that, but I hope that will have a big change. So most important thing, the higher education institute should be given a freedom to change or come up with a business model, what they think is good. The other thing is now considering the issue, even though as you said, literacy level is high, but in this year, if I explained, since I involved with the process at the UGC and other places, 190,000 people passed the A-level. Right now, something around 110 or 120 people have applied for the university admission at the UGC. We are taking only 30,000 to 40,000 students there. Okay, everything comes with the so-called free education concepts. I am a product of a free education. I'll say that. I openly agree. But if we try to define everything, the so-called the dimension of a free, nothing can be done. I mean, my personal feeling, it should come with a kind of an educational loan system should be established for every student. Based on this performance, he may get a scholarship or loan or some of the things. I mean, that freedom has to be established. Then the freedom should be given to students to select the university or the program he wants, whether it is in a private, whether it is in a public, wherever. I mean, why we are still thinking about that? Only thing is we need to have a very standardization process and also accreditation frameworks, things like that must be quality assurance, very important, because otherwise what will happen in some other countries, I mean, the people may get they will become victims of some small institute. That also could happen. I mean, that danger is there, but because of that danger, we should not change things. I mean, we have to change the things. We have to change the framework, and we'll have to provide that kind of a new framework. Otherwise, without having that new framework, we will never able to solve this problem. I mean, when I remember during the last 20 to 30 years, we are talking the same problem. Nothing has happened in this country. I mean, unfortunately, the new things, whenever we propose new things in this country, people start debating and people are not taking the risk. And that is the saddest point sometimes. What happens is there. So at least things like in a digital transformation, if people think about coming up in a kind of a new model, I hope in the future will help to solve this critical issue. Otherwise, R&D and many things is only for a small segment of the people.
Thank you, sir. Correct.
If there are more questions and comments, you can direct it to the link of Slido, or otherwise you can put it up on the chat, or you can unmute yourself.
You can put the question on the slide. That's the tool app, what you Slido. What is that? What you have?
Slido link.
Yes,
yes.
I'll follow that link, and if you have a question, you can put. I'll answer it. You can carry out, no problem. Yeah.
Okay, thank you again for your for taking this time to speak and to address the gathering today. And so moving on, we have our next 6 presentations lining up. Out of the 32 presentations that we have chosen because of the limitation, therefore we can move to the next presentation now. And again, reminding all of you, if the presenter is present today, to switch on the video and to be available for questions.
This presenter is already turned on the video, so.
All right, thank you. So it's singing to spoken voice, a machine learning based approach by Devanshi Kanegade. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, ti, la, so, fa, mi, re, do. Hello. Earlier I was using my singing voice, and now I switched to my speaking voice. This switch is actually made in my brain unconsciously. But can you hear a difference in my voices? I am the same person though. So today I'm going to discuss my research, which is to convert a specific person's singing voice to spoken voice using computers with machine learning. I'm Devanshi Kanegade, reading from my Master of Philosophy in Software Engineering at the Faculty of Computing in Sri Lanka Institute of Information Technology. Today, we live in a world where voice technology is rapidly in use in many applications. Especially with this pandemic, these applications came to rise to popularity among various consumers of various digital devices, and especially thanks to devices such as Alexa by Amazon and Siri by Apple. But technically, voice recognition started in the 50s and 60s. A US National Consumer Survey reveals that a lot of consumers want voice assistants in their mobile applications. Voice is like the face we have, in that it is the most intimate, and it has very unique characteristics. The production of a voice involves many organs in our system and also includes various research fields like cognition psychology, anatomy, and phonetics. A museum dedicated to one of the famous opera artists in the 18th century named Enrico Caruso felt the need of using modern technology to let fans and music enthusiasts to feel his presence when they are to visit his museum. Therefore, these people turn towards technology for help in recreating this singer's voice without any recordings of this spoken voice, but only with his singing voice. And when we look into technology that is applied, especially in speech synthesis, we see that currently there are 3 approaches for speech synthesis. That is from text to speech to text, like Google Voice Search Engine, and even Siri. So then these, we also have speech to speech, like Amazon Alexa, and even applications such as Siri. We also have speech to singing applications in synthesizing a singing voice. And speech to singing and singing to singing applications, though not as popular as speech synthesis applications, are also available in the market. Therefore, through this research, I hope to fill the gap in synthesizing speaking voice from singing voice using artificial neural networks. Now, today we can build computers and other machines that perform a variety of well-defined tasks with reliability unmatched by humans. And thanks to artificial neural networks, which is actually responsible for many of the recent advances in artificial intelligence, including voice recognition, image recognition, and even robotics. Almost any processes you can imagine can be thought of as function computation. Consider the problem of naming a piece of music based on a short sample of that piece. That can be thought of as a computing a function, which is actually defined in an article by Michael Nielsen in December 2019. So through my research, I hope to release my framework for future applications, especially for generating spoken voice from singing voice, which can be applied for celebrities in the past where no recordings of their spoken voice can be found, especially in applications such as in their museums. So I am privileged to do my research under the supervision of my supervisor, Dr. Kalpani Manatunga, from the Department of Computer Science and Software Engineering, as well as Dr. Darshana Kasariratna, which I'm still in the process of creating my framework to convert singing voice to spoken voice. So thank you very much for listening. Have a nice day.
So if you have any questions, you can direct that to Devanshi.
If you have joined in now, there's a link that is on the chat where you can direct the questions.
Yeah. Yeah, just curious. It's really nice, Devanshi. I really like the presentation, and your concept is really, I think it's unique. I haven't seen much of the past research in between, but just curious to know how far you have gone now, or what stage exactly are you in, and what kind of challenges so far that you're feeling, because I assume it's a massive job of collecting data and predicting or coming up with the framework. Just share your experience.
Yes, sure. Thank you, Dr. Dilrukshi. So at the moment, I am in the process of collecting data. So I'm collecting data from people based on gender, as well as especially I'm collecting data for Sri Lankan singers at the moment, because there's also a difficulty taking data from other singers who are in different other countries, because the accent also takes effect on it. So I'm using only for English songs, and then I'm collecting data for both from their singing voice as well as their spoken voice. I'm asking them to sing a song as well. I'm asking them to sing different songs and then to read out the lyrics as well. Currently, in the technology wise, I'm in the process of creating the framework, which I have to first deal with creating the text-to-speech voice, and then afterwards, the difficulties that I'm facing at the moment includes because there are very less researchers in this area where you get to convert the singing voice to spoken voice, because there are challenges in it itself, because the essence of a singing voice is different from the essence of a spoken voice. So those are the challenges I'm looking into in my research.
Right, there was just out of curiosity, what sort of applications we have on this? I mean, what would you apply this to?
Currently, for singing synthesis, there's an application called Vocaloid, where they use the singing voice of a certain person for a manga character. This is from Japan. They have created this application. So you can give a text where you can get the song read from this manga character. Other than that, even Google have their own framework called Hackathon, where they also use, they mostly use for speech synthesis, but they also follow a similar structure in because they take the speech synthesis from the wave audio itself and then synthesize the same, generate the same voice.
So what's difference with with your work compared to that?
So speaking, there are different parameters, and for singing, there are different parameters. So extracting the parameters only for singing is the challenge that I'm looking towards.
Right. Do we have any questions in Slido? No, don't think.
I would like to ask a question. Can you hear me?
Yes, Nalaga.
Yes.
Right. Devanshi, how do you plan to evaluate this? Have you identified any quantitative methods, or you're planning to go qualitative?
At the moment, I'm planning to go for qualitative methods to get users to identify the differences of the recordings that I have collected and that I've taken from my framework to look into. So.
I would like to add something into it as well to your project.
Sure.
That there are some cases that some singers, their singing voice is different than when they're talking.
Yeah.
For an example, that the famous example of Lata Valpala, right? The talking voice and singing voice are totally different. And there are some cases like, for an example, you take Shakira, she has two voices, right?
Yeah.
So you may need to consider these aspects as well. Just
Yes,
a suggestion.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Let's move to the next. Devanshi?
Okay. The next presentation, titled Online Proctoring for Mass Examinations with Optimized Resource Usage, is from the University of Colombo School of Computing.
Greetings everyone. I'm Nandula Pereira and this is my team. Online Proctoring for Mass Examinations with Optimized Resource Usage. The demand for online exams in Sri Lanka has been increasing rapidly with the current education system moving on to digital modes. But still, there is no online platform for hosting, monitoring, and evaluating mass exams. Although there are a couple of platforms which provide these services, none of them have all these features integrated together. And also, they are very expensive and have many limitations. So there are several critical issues we identified with regard to conducting online exams with video conferencing tools. The main issue being the bandwidth issue. So most students and proctors do not have a proper bandwidth to send and receive multiple streams simultaneously. And students with low device specifications have a hard time when facing exams in this mode. And institutions which have a limited number of proctors face another issue when it comes for mass online exams. It is difficult to monitor a large number of students during mass exams in this case. Besides all these issues, preventing exam offenses during online exams is a major problem. Although students are monitored by proctors, the students can find multiple ways to cheat during an exam, such as obtaining external help, using a virtual machine or a secondary screen. So, in order to solve all these problems, we are introducing a solution which will provide practical solutions for the issues we mentioned earlier. The main feature of this system is that it provides an all-in-one platform for hosting exams with
virtual proctoring, which currently is accessed by several proctoring tools at the same time. The student will be monitored by two cameras, which are the webcam and the secondary camera, which is used to capture the background environment. And also the screen of the student will also be monitored. And in order to save the bandwidth, only the secondary camera feed will be streamed to the proctor, while the other streams will be saved locally in the students' computers. And real-time student face landmark detection will be done through the front camera, and also there is an audio level analysis for detecting any fraud. In addition to that, the system will analyze the student's system information periodically, such as keystrokes, clipboards, running programs, and connected hardware. So the system also can detect whether students are using a virtual machine or not. So moving on to the methodology, on the student side, we have two applications. One is a desktop application that will be used to monitor all the students' activities, and there will be a progressive web app that will be running on the student's mobile phone in order to send the secondary camera feed to the proctor. For the proctor's end, we have a web application that will have all the proctoring features. And for institutions, we have another web app that allows institutions to create exams, students' accounts, and also to assign proctors. The web application manages the entire exam, including the exam questions and answers. So after the implementation, we have planned to do a demonstration of the system on the National Olympiad of Informatics contest rounds. So moving on to the progress of our system, currently we are in the mid-development phase of our system, and our system is able to handle 6 students per proctor. And we have determined that one video stream will cost around 1 megabits per second. So here are some of the references we used. Thank you.
So we have the presenters here with us. If you have any question, you can unmute and ask. Even if you have any comments or suggestions to give them, you can put it up on the Slido link as well.
Hi, I'm Kirutiharan, and I have a question.
Yes, go
there
ahead.
is something called currently in use, the lockdown browser. Universities like Slate use it. It does basically the same thing. So what's the difference here?
Actually, we are trying to provide a combination of lockdown browser and Zoom, because the lockdown browser does not have the ability to monitor the web cameras from 2 angles, and also it is not integrated well with video monitoring softwares. So what we are trying to do is to create one single platform integrated with the safe environment and as well as the web camera monitoring system. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm Nalaka here. Lockdown browser actually has a proctoring system. You can enable it. It's a paid service.
Could you elaborate more on that? I didn't quite follow you.
The lockdown browser, it has a proctoring system.
Yes.
It's a paid system. So you can consider it. I would like to suggest something that when you are using the camera, it's really difficult to identify whether the student is looking at the screen or out of the screen. Because when the eye is moved from one corner to another corner, that he's not looking straight, the student is not looking straight, so it looks like student is looking out of the frame, and we can't say for sure. It's not certain. If you can find a way to identify whether the eye is moving within the frame, student is only looking at the screen, it will be really useful.
Yes, sir. We will try to address that, but from our initial experimentations, it was quite not practical to use gaze detection in Sri Lanka's context, because some cameras provide, the cameras provide different angles based on the position the camera is in the system. I mean, as you look at me now, my camera is from the side, and you can see the side of my face. So there are some practical issues, but in our future work, we are trying to implement the gaze detection feature as well.
This is great. I really like, I'm just talking about the general concept, the research, showcase here. I really like Nalaka's suggestions, and I would encourage others also kind of, use this platform to create a, create an engagement viewpoint and, teach, like not just teach, but, collaborate with the research. And if you find some, improvements, just suggest, because we created this research showcase is to get the feedback in the initial stages, as well as like for them to have more improvements in the future research, and also open up for many collaborations. So if you are participants, please feel free to, get yourself, clear your doubts and comments. I encourage everybody to use the time.
Just to add to that, I mean, this is most of the work that have been presented today are at the proposal stage, proposal and some progress. So your feedback on this work would be immensely helpful for the students to complete their work. So please feel free to give out your any ideas, any question you have.
Madhit again. There's another catch. These days, screens are also tend to take more space than before. So it will be really difficult to identify screen length. We can't even decide it using screen resolution. So it will be difficult.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Any other comments?
I mean, just one more. Suvin, say, for example, at what Nalaka just said, what differences you have for the online proctoring that the lockdown browser do and your system? Are there any differences? Or?
Yeah, the major differences are we have a 2-camera setup, one from the webcam and another thing like a side cam. The student has to use their own phone and to log into our camera system and use their mobile phone as a side cam, so that we have 2 angles to capture the room. And that's the main difference between the lockdown browser and our platform. And in addition to that, the price and subscription fees there, we are trying to optimize this as much as we can, so that it can gain the maximum effect from the system and to reduce the cost, so that we can provide a good platform at a reasonable price. I mean, considering the Sri Lankan rupees versus the US dollars state.
Yes. Okay. Right. So, Devanshi? Yeah.
So I have one question. I'm Hironi.
Yes, Hironi.
Do this group consider about screen sharing also?
So when the student logs in, it automatically starts screen recording. So, and the video cam and the students' cursor events and everything is automatically monitored. If the system flags down a particular student for an offense or something, as soon as the exam is finished, the student will get a prompt to upload the video. The student has to click on that, and the video will automatically be uploaded, and the student will not be able to log out until the recording has finished uploading.
So if you're using something like the lockdown browser, does not allow any other applications to be run on the background, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am. So in this case, the exam setter or the institute can set specific applications that they allow the student to use. Any other applications will be flagged. Like we don't stop.
Right.
Yeah, we don't prevent them from using it. We let them use it, but the event will be flagged and notified to the proctor.
Thank you again for all the presenters. And we can move on to the next presentation. So the next presentation is titled Effective Identification of Nitrogen Fertilizer Demand for Paddy Cultivation Using UAVs from University of Colombo School of Computing.
Hello everyone. We are excited to present our ongoing work on the effective identification of nitrogen fertilizer demand for the paddy cultivation using unmanned aerial vehicles. Our team has 4 members, including myself, Priscilla Singha, Shan Malinda, Anupama Karunaratna, and Heshan Kavinda. We are from University of Colombo School of Computing, and our work is under the supervision of Dr. Kasun Karunanayaka, Dr. Tirina Hallaluwa, and Mr. Pul Ratnayaka from University of Colombo School of Computing. In Sri Lanka, paddy is one of the most common cultivations, and the staple food of Sri Lankans is rice. So when compared to the total area of land in Sri Lanka, a considerable amount of land is cultivated with rice. Yeah, this is a paddy field. You can see that there are a variety of color levels between yellow and green in this paddy field. The major reason behind this situation is one of the major problems in the paddy cultivation in Sri Lanka, that is nitrogen deficiency of the soil. So why it's important to focus on this problem? Nitrogen deficiency causes so many bad consequences for the paddy cultivation as well as the other cultivations also. Nitrogen deficiency causes decreased chlorophyll content, photosynthetic rate, and increased leaf reflectance of plants, yellowish the entire plant in more severe stages, directly affecting the food production process. And finally, the expected paddy yield will be reduced due to the nitrogen deficiency. So, can we think that it is solvable by putting fertilizer in a large amount? Exactly not. It causes the other extreme, which is the excess situation. It also contains so many negative consequences, including luxuriant growth, resulting in the plant being attractive to insects, diseases, and pathogens, causes excessive growth and weaken the stems of the plant, lowering the farm profits, and negative consequences for the environment, including acidification of water and soil, pollution of groundwater resources and minerals, and also accelerated ozone depletion. So we can see that the amount of fertilizer that we should apply should not be a greater amount as well as a lower amount. LCC is leaf color chart. It includes among the remedies that have been introduced by the Sri Lankan Agricultural Department to the farmers in Sri Lanka. It suggests to compare the leaf color of a paddy plant with the color chart and identify the correct level of nitrogen fertilizer that should be provided to the particular plant. So we can see that the remedy is there and also the fertilizer is there, but still there's a problem. The problem actually exists in the process of executing that workflow. We know that it's hard to go through the paddy fields and find the small malnourished areas. It's a very time-consuming task. When walking through the paddy fields to find those malnourished areas, we know that the paddy plants will be damaged by walking through them. So because of these reasons, the farmers tend to apply some guessed amount of nitrogen fertilizer to their paddy fields, which causes, again, those excessive and deficient situations. So this is the situation that most of the cases going on currently in Sri Lanka. So our work is intended to provide a solution for this problem, which is to provide a better approach to find those malnourished areas in the paddy fields with lower nitrogen levels. We use unmanned aerial vehicles to this process so that the paddy plants will not be damaged as when walking through the paddy fields and finding the malnourished areas, the unmanned aerial vehicle will not damage the paddy plants, and also it can cover a large area at a time. An image processing based machine learning approach will be used in our process. First, this includes the optimization of the images that have been taken by the camera of the UAV to avoid the unnecessary color effects, and then to identify the areas of different nitrogen levels. This may not include evaluating the plant by plant, because in a paddy field, the fertilizer is provided to a particular area rather to a particular plant. So using this proposed approach, we identify the areas of different nitrogen levels so that the farmers can provide fertilizer accordingly. Furthermore, beyond our research work, we are expecting to provide a software solution to the farmers and also the Agriculture Department of Sri Lanka, which can be used to fine-tune their process. So that's about our work. Thank you for your attention. Hello everyone. We're excited.
So the presenters are here with us. If you have any questions, suggestions, or comments, please go ahead.
Just to break out the silence, I really like the, it's very eco-friendly, something that we need, a country like us much needed. But I'm curious, or like I would like to know the challenges that you face, like how do you plan the logistics for this research? And I'm pretty sure this is very much initial stage that you are in. And do you have like, upcoming plans? How do you kind of, sort of face the challenges or something like, just enlighten.
Yeah, we are in the very initial state of this work, and the most problematic thing is to collect the data set with this pandemic situation especially. So we are thinking a way of doing that. So in the current situation, I think that that's the main issue that we have to face.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah, Harsha.
Yeah. So I have seen some projects, like similar projects, I think, by using image processing technologies. So they are doing, so they are measuring some kind of plant, the plant growth, and also in another case, I have seen that. So in I think the application area is in United States. So there they for so they have some they have there are researchers done to predict or see the yield of the cultivation. So likewise, there are some researchers have done. So I think it is better if you can search those things and get a better idea. So you can incorporate that to your research as well. So this is suggestion actually.
Thank you. Actually, we've gone through several of those kind of projects, and thank you for your input.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, just to comment on that, I think Tilina also would answer. When we were reviewing, also we saw the significant in the abstract, like how do you kind of detect the paddy's nitrogen level, and I think that's a key gap that I've seen, or like the research gap that you have quite elaborated in the abstract, but I'm not too sure whether I saw in the presentation exactly, but. That's a quite unique point, I would say, if you can add.
Shan, would you say or shall I say?
You, why don't you?
I mean, as Harshana correctly pointed out, there are several studies done on this smart sort of agriculture domain. However, as he correctly pointed out as well, many of them are done in these developed sort of countries and Japan, Australia, US, where the soil conditions are quite different. And then again, image processing techniques could be used to detect certain level of nitrogen. However, this time we are using UAVs, and as you would know, when you are flying over a field, the angle of the photo and when you are just taking a photograph of the leaf, it's two different sort of photographs you are getting. So the basic idea which they fail to sort of explain is that we are using drone images where images taken from different angles to detect the nitrogen levels needed for a plant instead of using images per se. It's drone. That difference they didn't really explain. That's why. Thank you, guys.
It's really great to have advisors supporting, and this is the culture that we are trying to encourage through our chapters, and we are kind of aligning together so that everybody's collaborated and encouraged to work with each other and comment, and even advisors are more close to their students much more than we see other communities. Yeah, with the interest of time, Devanshi, shall we move? We have only 3 more, right?
Yes. Okay, so moving on to the next presentation, we have the presentation titled A Study on the Development of Mental Stress, Relieving Effective Application with AGs of Kansai Engineering Methodology from the General Sir John Kotalawala Defense University.
Good morning, everyone. I'm JMD Dinko. Our research is about a study on the development of mental stress relieving effective application with ages of Kansai engineering. Contents: is stress an emotion? Dealing with emotional manipulation, the effect of music on humans. Kansai engineering, an introduction, high-level view of the project. Under that, we have emotion detection and music as a therapy. Is mental stress an emotion? Stress causes our body to release hormones. These hormones boost our pulse and make our brain more active. Stress can be short-term and long-term. Both can lead to a variety of symptoms, but chronic stress takes a serious toll on the body over time and have long-lasting health effects. Our aim of this research is to avoid health issues, which has become a common health problem for the people in the society. The effect of music on humans. People tend to cope stress in many ways. One common way is listening to music. But still, many who try to listen and cope up with stress face one serious problem, which is wasting hours to choose music. Because until a song is selected, which has a flow with the emotion. However, when a melody is coordinated with the present stress level of a person, the tune will be associated and will reduce the stress at the moment. Most of us have hidden memories when we tune into melodies. Music as a stress relieving therapy. Faster music, upbeat music, and slower tempo calms your emotions and relax your body muscles. Scientists manifest that cortisol is one of the stress hormones which releases during stress. Relaxing music is a surefire way of the body to return on to not stress more quickly. What we do in our research project, provide the capacity of monitoring the emotions and stress level to make their life easier. The created playlist allows the stressed users to recover from it. Users with low stress levels to cope up with the normal person's stress level, and for a user with a normal stress level to keep up with a healthier stress level. The main aim of this research is to give a full emotion recognizable application that automatically provides a playlist according to their stress levels. Relieving emotional stress from music. Here, stress level is allocated as high level of stress and low level of stress. Also, emotions can be categorized as positive and negative emotions. A person's emotion state is classified into four main categories. They are high and positive, high and negative, low and positive, low and negative. According to the above categories, the music is being recommended. Kansai engineered to investigate music and stress emotions. Kansai engineering is defined as an ergonomic, consumer-oriented technology of a new product development based on consumer concept, an attractive product development technology to fit consumer feelings and demands. We use this method to our application. Emotion detection. The playlist is created according to the changes of human emotions, backtracking the biosignals according to the emotions using biosignal report. The playlist will be played accordingly. Biosignals are used to recognize emotions because they cannot be manipulated by human and are directly influenced by mental states, including emotions. We are still researching on the suitable biosignal to utilize in this project to detect emotional stress. This research concludes as a result. To help us make significant progress in this area of machine learning technology, production of music depending on the user's emotions. User will be informed songs to play. Since this project is developing a music player application, portability and the ease of use is our top priority. Thank you.
The presenters, we kindly ask you to yes. So the presenters are here with us and the channels are open for questions, comments or suggestions.
Hi, I'm Danushka. I have a question. I was wondering, how do you personalize the music playlist? Like each person like different music, but you say that do you allow every person to have the same playlist, or do you create different playlists for each person according to their playlist?
Thank you for the question. It's just a research concept yet, and we thank you for your pointing out that we will look into it surely and pay attention on it towards when we go further.
Right.
I really like the question, I really like the concept of this design, or like, your initial thoughts. I was wondering, when you're researching, or like when you're kind of looking at previous literature, what sort of things that, what sort of interesting things that you found, like they have, but we should have, that kind of determination?
Yeah, everyone has a different taste of music, and you get to choose music manually. But in this research we have, we have specified, using this research, we have created a list which you can see, and you can select as manual also, and those are the criteria.
Audience, do you have comments that Karushka can incorporate in his further research, or else if you find some great interesting research articles, maybe share with him now in the chat or Slido?
That would be great.
Hi, I'm Kirti Haran, and like another thought I have is like there are some like proven music records like which reduces our stress. One is like the song "Weightless" by Marco Neonium. So like there are a set of songs like that. So like we could just play them to reduce stress levels as well, right? Without going for approach like this. Just asking.
For that, I'm Saman here. I also have an input for that as well. So I also did some kind of a similar project for my undergraduate studies, and there what I did was like I tried to understand what are the most effective mode of stress relief and how to come up with an effective interaction based on like I also experimented few biofeedback which can be incorporated. So my focus was on a mobile device. So in that case, I figure out what are the limitations that we come across. So likewise, so when it comes to the weightless, which was pointed earlier, the difference what I felt was like when I explored the heart rate of different, I chose Sri Lankan group of students as the sample group. So I used like one from Global, which is the weightless, and then another raga, which is called Purya Dhanashri. And then when it comes to the Sri Lankan context, I use the Nalaviligi, just the melodies, to see the heart rate variance of each group of people, the sample. So what I figured was that the heart rate variance was going high when it comes to weightless, when you compare it with the Nalaviligi. So when it comes to Nalaviligi, the heart rate variance was low. So based on that, a conclusion that I came up was like based on the contextual based on the contextual differences also, this music can be affecting differently on each people. So you can look into other ways of like whether maybe, yeah, it is proven that the weightless or this kind of music is affecting health very, not the health actually, it affects the reducing the stress level of people, but still it might be different when it comes to the different sample of groups based on their cultural preferences, the way they have lived and their lifestyle and likewise. So you can look into those kind of points as well when it comes to considering the playlist. Also like based on the different, we have changed a lot when it comes to the lifestyle. So now we are listening, sometimes we are listening to Apple Music, so which contains a lot of international songs and like, so it's like that. So sometimes the preferences would be different because of the exposure that we get. So you can look into, this is very high level things that I'm saying, but you can look into those kind of points as well, so that you can figure out, okay, this is where I'm going to focus on the genres that I'm looking at. So likewise, you can specify on which type of category of music that you will be incorporating. And yeah, good luck with your project. I feel it's really interesting, and yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Priya.
So if there are no more questions, we can move on to the next presentation. Next presentation titled Emotional Amplification in Effective Gaming Through Music Emotion Recognition from Dasani Ganepola from Sir John Kotalala Defense University.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dasani Ganepola, and I will be presenting our research on emotional amplification in effective gaming through music emotion recognition. This is our agenda for our presentation. So, before describing about our research project, I would like to introduce you to the fundamental concepts our research project is based on, and that is effective gaming and affect. Effective gaming is the next level in the current game industry. It is where the games are actually integrating with the player's affective states to make the game more user interactive. Defining affect, actually affect is the present emotion state anyone is feeling. When describing or when defining emotion scientifically, psychologists describe emotion in a two-dimensional plane, and that is arousal and valence. Arousal is described as the psychological state of the level of intensity of being aroused, and valence, on the other hand, is the psychological level of intrinsic positiveness and negativeness. So to implement effective gaming, we utilize the concept of the affective loop, as you can see in the figure in the slide. Emotional elicitation is the phase where we extract the emotions from the biosignals, because the human body expresses the emotions via biosignals such as EEG, ECG, skin temperature. Emotion recognition is where you extract the emotions from the biosignals. So for this, we utilize artificial intelligence techniques such as machine learning and deep learning. Emotional behavior generation includes the emotional amplification of the gamer's affect so that the user interactivity with the game is increased. Our research is solely based on the research aim to increase the user interactivity through this emotional amplification approach using game music. And the effective technologies we are currently utilizing in this project is music emotion recognition, which is MER for short. So before proceeding with our research project, let me introduce you to what MER is about, since this is quite a new technology and many have not heard what MER is about. The figure you can see in the slide is the cognitive instance of the human brain recognizing music and then extracting information and also stimulating emotions within the human brain. This is referred to as music emotion recognition, and this same cognitive instance can be mimicked computationally or artificially. So our work so far, we have actually initiated this project, and we have published a research paper under this title, as you can see, in 2020 at the IRC on smart computing and systems engineering. This publication can be accessed from the IEEE Expert database from this URL, or simply you can access it through our Google Scholar profiles. Looking at our work at a glance, this is the high-level view of our work. and talking about the methodology of the work we have done. We have used multi-label classification, and we have utilized the algorithms, binary relevance, classified chains, McCain, and Rico. And currently, we are working out to carry out this MER process using deep learning instead of machine learning, because we have found out through literature reviews that deep learning is quite similar to the neural activity of the human brain. So since MER is a cognitive instance, in implementing this MER process, the artificial MER process is far more effective than the traditional machine learning concepts. And this marks our end. Thank you for being a pleasant audience.
Thank you. So if our presenter is here, if you can kindly switch on your video.
Yes, I'm here. Well, I'm sorry, I'm having some internet issues, so I'll have to switch off my, yeah.
Okay, no problem.
All right.
So if others have any questions, suggestions, or comments, please direct to Harushka.
Done.
So until others kind of come in, I have a small fundamental sort of a question. At the end, you said you're trying to shift towards deep learning.
Yes.
Could you clarify what sort of things that you couldn't do with the traditional supervised machine learning?
Yeah, so like when we were doing the supervised machine learning, we saw that the model we trained was very biased with our training data set. So when we were like practically, we did an evaluation, like we actually classified with the, if you did see in my presentation, I said that there was an algorithm. So that was, I took it as the best algorithm based on the precision values, which is like the ML evaluation metrics. But when I was evaluating, when I was giving the music clips to the user, potential game players, and I asked them what do they feel, the results seemed to like overlap, or sometimes it didn't fit at all. So that was the error we found out, and that's why we plan to move to deep learning. Yeah.
So wouldn't the same question be there with deep learning? I mean, biasness of your data set?
Well, it's like this. It's with the concepts of machine learning and deep learning, because machine learning, if you give the training data set, what happens is it'll learn from the data, and it's basically with the algorithms that's going. But when you go for deep learning, like it doesn't really have to be supervised. We can go for unsupervised approaches as well. So we give the acoustic features, and then
yes, so, I mean, that's the premise for my question. I mean, why did you straight away jump to deep learning instead of trying out unsupervised machine learning?
That's because MER is a cognitive instance. So what I found out through the research papers, what I read about the technicality of the deep learning approaches, it's more similar with the brain. So I hypothesized that if we approach this MER process using deep learning, because it's quite similar to how the human brain actually works, we can get a good result. So it's actually like a hypothesis. So we're actually testing it.
One last question. I mean, this is, as you said, this is very new. But have you thought of any sort of applications on this? What sort of use cases of this?
Yeah. So if you can remember the last presentation, it was about device, creating a mobile application for stress relieving. So we can do it from music emotion recognition and gaming and yeah, other things as well. So it's a very diversified way, and you can find a lot of use cases about this technology in utilizing.
Okay. Right. So any other questions?
Hello, this is Tusitanjana.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm also doing a similar study. Now I have a question now. I'm actually at the very earliest stages, like when you're preparing the data set.
Yeah.
So have you like used music, like songs or?
Actually, I used music. That means only the audio clips. I didn't use songs because the thing which happens when you use songs is because with the lyrics, then you have to use NLP, like natural language processing, to identify the emotion that's coming up with the lyrics. So because of that, I used audio, and that's how I maintained it. And we used MATLAB to extract the audio features and then created the data set.
So when you are using the audio, were there like any copyright issues when you are like using the data for your study?
You mean the ethical concerns? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah, so well, we basically use an open source data set. If you can refer to our paper, which we have published, you can get it from our Google Scholar profiles. It's actually, we have listed the open source data set we use, the music data set we use. So,
can you kindly please share the link with
me? Sure, of course. I'll share. Okay, sure.
Dasini, you can share in the chat or in the slide.
Yes, sure. I'll put it in the chat.
Thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome.
I really like the way that, our community is growing, like helping each other and, getting your doubts clear and learning from each other. Devanshi, can we move to the next? I think 2 more, right?
Yeah.
Next
right. So last but not least, next we have the title, Towards a Style for Push Communication Enabled Rich Web-Based Application by Nalaka Disanayake from Sri Lanka Institute of Information Technology.
Hello, I'm Nalaka Disanayake, and I'm about to present my work titled Towards a Style for Push Communication Enabled Rich Web-Based Applications. This is the research I do for my PhD, and my supervisors are Dr. Darshan and Dr. Shantha. I will briefly describe the core background concepts and then discuss the research problem. After that, I will state the aim of the research and finally will explain the solution we have planned to provide. Let me start with explaining the background concepts. The targeted type of the systems is called rich web-based applications, which is a type of web-based systems. These advanced systems have rich GUIs which communicate with server using an advanced communication model called delta communication. The rich GUIs together with advanced delta communication improve user experience. Most of the web-based systems we use nowadays, like Google Apps and Facebook, are actually rich web-based applications. Rich web-based applications use push communication for server to push content to clients. Push communication helps to further improve user experience by implementing features such as notifications and real-time updates. However, the core technology of web, which is HTTP, is based on request-response model. That means it supports full communication by default. Therefore, it does not support implementing push communication. Still, in rich web-based applications, push communication can be implemented in form of delta communication. There are technologies like polling to simulate push communication based on the request-response model. And also there are advanced technologies like WebSocket, which can implement true push communication where the server elements push content to clients without using request response model. These advanced two-push communications help to improve performance and scalability, and as a result, the user experience is also improved. The problem in a fossil environment is that integrating push communication into rich web-based applications is complex. To implement push communication in rich web-based applications, we require additional elements. For example, in server-side, a dedicated element like push server is needed. And in client-side, dedicated elements are required to capture the push content, process them, and update the GUI. Also, when implementing these elements, dedicated technology should be used. For example, for Delta communication, WebSocket can be used. In that case, compatible frameworks and libraries should be used in both server and client side. And also we need to know which elements should be developed using which technologies. To address this complexity, we propose to introduce an architectural style which is capable of realizing the elements required to implement push communication and the configuration among these elements. This knowledge will also help to understand which technologies should be used to develop these elements and how to test them as well. We try to understand the common characteristics and essential features for push communication enabled rich web-based applications and utilize that knowledge to extend the style named Rework style, which we have introduced in the early stages of this research. The Rework style can already realize the standard rich web-based applications, and our extension will help to realize how the push communication can be integrated into rich web-based applications. The resulting abstract style will assist in developing elements to perform true push delta communication using advanced WebSocket technology to improve the performance, scalability of rich web-based applications in the direction of increasing the user experience. This is the basic concept of our ongoing research. Thank you very much for your interest. Hello.
Thank you. So, Mr. Nalak is with us. If you have any questions, suggestions, or comments, please feel free to ask. The Slido link is also there. If you're shy to ask, you can put your questions there as well.
If there's no questions yet, let me start off. Nalaka, what's the difference between what you are starting to propose and the traditional publish subscribe pattern?
Publisher subscribe pattern is actually one way of pushing content.
Yes.
There are some other styles as well. For an example, unicast, multicast, broadcast, PubSub, all of them are ways of pushing content to clients. So our style, in our research, actually, we are referring to these styles as push modes. So our ultimate style will realize how to incorporate these push modes as well.
Right. So, I mean, the question, I mean, just for me to clarify, so what you're trying to do is that you won't be having a push. Is that what you're saying?
I didn't get that.
No, I mean your approach. You're trying to come up with an approach where you don't have a push.
It's basically a style which can realize how do you implement push communication into these applications.
So right now it's not happening?
It's happening, but we don't have abstract styles to realize how do we implement necessary elements.
Okay. So you basically said, you basically thinks it cannot be done with the publish subscribe pattern.
We can do it, but as I said, it's just a one way of doing.
Also, you are
publisher subscriber pattern is one formalism for push.
Yeah. So you want a different one.
Not exactly. That for an example, let's say that publisher subscribe pattern, when you implement it, what are the elements do you need? They are not strongly defined. Right?
Okay.
So what are the technologies you can use, and what are the server elements, what are the client elements? We can do it, but there is no strong structure for that, right? Architecturally.
Okay.
So I'm trying to provide a structure, an architectural style to realize how do you implement not only publisher subscriber style, but also unicast or multicast, broadcast, right? Any of these push modes.
To add something, I mean, this is just a suggestion. Right now, many people are moving towards serverless now. So they too have some sort of a push-pull mechanism to have this notification, serverless architecture. And since we are moving towards that sort of a culture, I would suggest you look into that as well. Where when you introduce a novel pattern, I would assume that to be applicable to novel trends. So hopefully,
yes, of course. Thanks a lot for pointing that out. At the moment, we are just trying to figure out the very core concept of it. Then we can expand from there.
Right. Okay. I'm good.
Hi.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just breaking out. Just before we drop off, we have time for questions, but don't. We are going to take a picture, so don't leave. We'll take the group picture.
Yes, Kirdira.
Hi. I just wanted to ask, like, Signal are like by Microsoft is like a popular framework, like which we could use to do real-time communications. Like it's fast and it's scalable. So like, how does it compare with this what you're building?
It's more like a technology, right? There are many other technologies like that. For an example, even Firebase, SVM, and there are many other protocols than WebSocket, like WebPush. These are technologies basically. So how do we incorporate these technologies to implement push communication? The best example I can give you is a MVC style, right? So it gives you an understanding how do you use frameworks to implement model and presentation aspects. So likewise, this our solution will be an abstract concept. So based on that, you can decide, okay, these particular elements can be developed using these available technologies and services, like so on.
I'm good enough. Thank you.
So basically, it will be different from PubSub. That's what you're saying.
PubSub
is one way of doing
will be
it.
Realized by our style.
Yeah. So PubSub itself is a style, right?
Yes, of course. So one aspect that we have progressed from the initial concept at the moment. So one aspect is that our final solution should be able to realize the available push modes, including PubSub. I know it's a little bit conceptual, right? Different from traditional software engineering researchers.
Exactly. I mean, that's the whole idea of having this showcase today. So I guess that's it, Roshini.
So thank you for all the presenters and for all who have applied and have got selected. But before we wind up, we will be showcasing all the abstracts that have got selected. And in the meantime, there is also a link. Yes, you can go ahead, Dr. Vish. Muted.
You're muted.
Dr. Dilrukshi. Okay.
Sorry, confused. Okay, Tilina, you'll be taking the screenshot, and everybody, there's a feedback form, and sorry, at the last minute we are like,
So I'm taking this screenshot. Let me remove spotlights. Oh, wait. Okay, so spotlights are done. Could everybody here kindly?
Yes, if everybody can, have your camera on for 1 minute, 1 second. I think there should be 3 pages or 4 pages, right?
Yes. Screenshots.
Yeah, until he take the screenshot, there's I pasted a feedback form as well. Please, we need your feedback to improve. This is our very first event, and 1.5 years has not been easy. We are all working and volunteering at the same time, but we have the passion for HCI with strong backgrounds and the helping hands from all the professionals around here. Thank you all very much. Tilna, when you're done, just let Devanshi know so that she will.
Yeah, wait. It's not easy taking screenshots.
Can somebody come up with a research concept?
No, I'm good. Right.
And especially, thanking is coming up, but I want to make shout out loud. Professor Hemagambage has been here from the beginning. This is such a strength for us. I mean, even from the beginning, he has been the inspirational behind this chapter, and going to shout out thank you aloud. Thank you very much, Professor.
Screenshots are done.
Okay, great. So thank you, everyone. And so before we wind up, we will be showcasing all the titles and the presenters who have
one second, Devanshi. I mean,
yes.
There may be some people who joined later. Initially, our process, I guess, Dilrukshi, if you can go through our screening process and what will happen to the next, the remaining presenters, it would be ideal. I saw some of them waiting.
Okay, so I can't share the screen at this moment, but I will walk through. Now, if you know, we had about 32 submissions and only 23 got selected, and congratulations all of you. Today, because with the limited time, we showcase only 12. There's a batch remaining as well. The video presentation that we selected basically based on the video quality and the time of the duration of the presentation and the clarity. It was not easy for us to go through with everything by one night, and if you have any concerns and complaints, please forgive us, and we'll try to improve in the further iterations of these research showcases. But of course, I can guarantee that everybody, all 23 are scheduled to get update, visibility through Medium blog post. Your slides and your research concepts will be shared, and we will be we will be your visibility point, so that other researchers know that a group like this is going to do a concept like that, and that will be very helpful for you to get feedback, and will open many collaborations as well. I think for the ones that could not get selected, we really have some strong feedback for you. We haven't sent you personally, but we would really like if you can connect with us, and because we have articulated and everything is written, but we haven't shared because this is not a very formal indexed research showcase. This is going to be very non-archival, but to bring a culture of research and also like feedback and improvements. We just, brought this research showcase. So if you have any, if you are requesting more personal feedback, we have, please reach to us. Yeah.
Yep. That's good. That's good. So at Spotlight. Thank you.
Devanshi, would you mind introducing Dr. Kalpani?
All right. Okay. So, sorry about that. I was, we, to wind up the event, we have Dr. Kalpani Manatunga with us, a senior lecturer at the Department of Computer Science and Software Engineering at the Sri Lanka Institute of Information Technology. She obtained her Bachelor of Science from the Curtin University of of Technology in Australia and her Master of Computer Science from University of Colombo and her PhD in Pompeu Fabra University, Barcelona, Spain. She was a postdoctoral researcher and also an a graduate teaching assistant at the Department of Information and Communication Technologies at the Pompeu Fabra University in Spain. And she's also a member of the SIGCHI Colombo chapter. And so it is over to you, Dr. Kalpani, to give out the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Devanshi. Well, on behalf of the organizing committee, I deliver the vote of thanks because the chapter secretary is down with fever, Dr. Sham Real. He was supposed to give the vote of thanks, but instead I'm replacing him right now. So first of all, like after long hours, I know all of you must be tired now, but it was a very successful event. And I think as the organizing committee, we can be really proud about the event, overall, how everything went. So first and foremost, I'm humbly thankful to Dr. Eunice for gracing our event today and sharing her experiences about different chapters and how SIGCHI works around the world and so on. Secondly, I'd like to extend my appreciation to Professor Hewa Gamage, our keynote speaker, for his generous participation throughout the event and also encouraging the chapter, as Dr. Dilrukshi mentioned from the beginning, and for his very eye-opening talk, which was very interesting personally to me, and I know for most of you all too. And I'd like to, at the same time, thank all the SIGCHI Colombo chapter members, including Dr. Kasun, Mr. Pul, Dr. Kalan Surya, from representing different institutes. To be with us, for being with us today, and also for the event. This showcase won't be a reality without our authors, that is you all. Who are willing to share your research work in a forum like this. So a big thank you to all of you for all the submissions that you have done, for encouraging us to carry out such a work and to have a forum like this today to discuss about research. And I thank all the participants today, representing different local institutes as well as international ones. And then being a very active audience, providing feedback, sharing information, experiences on research. And that was very enthusiastic to see. It's a lovely culture that we developed here today. And last but not least, I must thank all our showrunners, Mr. Achinta, Mr. Nadula, Mr. Suin, Mr. Dilan, Ms. Chabodi for helping with us, being with us from the inception of the showcase till today. And a special thank goes to our lovely compere, Ms. Devanshi, for nicely handling the event throughout. And again, my sincere thank goes to the organizing committee, Dr. Dilrukshi, Dr. Kilina, Dr. Sham, for organizing this event very smoothly and bringing out a culture where we can expand HCI research in Sri Lankan context. See you all at a similar forum again. Bye.
Bye. Thank you all. We have shared the links with you. Please connect with us, write to us, be
be engaging with us. We are a research community. We don't have hierarchies, but just engage with us. We will have more events lining up in, let's say, if there's more volunteers joining us to arrange this stuff, we can do much better. So please write to us. And I see in the chat there's medical background students, engineering background students. This chapter will be an eye-opening, because HCI is all about interdisciplinary. How do we bring other disciplines together? So please, make this event and much events from Colombo SIGCHI and also SIGCHI totally together as a platform for you to develop research in the interdisciplinary manner. Yeah, thank you all. Just provide us the feedback. We'll try to improve and do much better next time. Apologize.
Just to add one more thing, we showcased 12 presentations. There's another 8, I guess, as honorable mentions. Those will be added and updated in our Medium blog. And some of them were actually selected for ICT as well. So we will be getting in touch with you all on the formatting, how to change the formatting of your submissions to cater it. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. Hope to see you all again.